Badger!
Hey, Lenny.
Lenny! All the buddies. Thank you for coming. So, today's the night, man. Tonight's the night. First
First
book.
book review. So excited.
Mm-hmm. Very exciting. This is pretty much what we wanted to do, right? Like, review books.
Yep.
Love books. So, for our first series, I'm sure you guys already know, Court of Thorn and Roses. First book in the series. Tonight we're obviously gonna review the book, so obviously we're gonna have spoilers and stuff. But for right now, we just want to introduce the book, introduce characters, give you guys a summary of the book. We aren't gonna give spoilers right away to let whoever's in the stream get a chance to run away before we start ruining it for you. mm-hmm. Um, but yeah, let's begin. Del, you want to start us off? Anything you want to put
Sure.
in?
We can start talking about what the book is about. It's a fantasy read. I'm gonna
Mm-hmm.
cough.
Yeah, fantasy read. So it's high fantasy. There is romance, obviously. It's a young adult fiction, so it does have a few spicy bits towards the end. We've got our main character, Feyre. It follows her. It's in her perspective. Um, she has two sisters. She's the youngest of three. They were recently, or not recently, I guess it's been 8 years since they lost their fortune, so they've been living poor on like the really bad part of what is considered the mortal lands. So in this world, um, there's fae or fairy, I guess you can call them, and they rule most of the world. Mortals have been thrown across the wall and giving a strip of land all the way to the south, so they're pretty much, I guess, the 5%, right? Would you call them like the
Yeah, it's
5%?
definitely very small.
Mm-hmm. Um, Feyre is the youngest, like I said, of three. She's pretty much keeping their family together, hunting for them, doing everything for them, this poor child. And I will honestly say, I don't think they give a shit about her doing all that by herself.
No, they definitely don't.
Yeah, so much for
Mm-mm.
family there, but I guess they still hold together, right?
Yep.
Synopsis is she finds a wolf in the forest, kills it, skins it, uses its fur to buy, to get money for her family. Um, Mortals have always hated the Fae. Always. Consider them mortal enemies, pretty much, because in this world, Fae can live thousands of years. Mortals only live, what, 60 if you're good?
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so uh, obviously there's a lot of hate towards the Fae. Um, of course, it's a book, it's a story. There's going to be adventure and intrigue. She finds something happens to Feyre where she has to go over the wall towards the Fae and interact with a specific court called the Spring Court and their High Lord, which is Tamlin, our second character. Um, a lot of adventure ensues. It's very mystical. There's a lot of magic involved. Pretty amazing, in my opinion, how you see this character grow through the book and turns from someone who hates so much with like every bit of her soul to someone who can open up and find beauty in something that is so scary to other humans. So I thought it was such a great read.
Yeah, it was definitely very good.
hmm It was a great
So
read.
the book also has a spin-off of like a Beauty and the Beast tale as well. That's what the writer's goal was when she wrote this book, which has been very interesting.
Yeah, I totally agree. When you told me it was just another story like Beauty and the Beast, I was like, oh, I love Beauty and the Beast. What a great story. And it does have a lot of nuances to Beauty and the Beast, but it's For a lack of
But
a
it
better
also
word,
has
fucked
like,
up.
yeah, but it also has its own to it as well.
Yeah, it's just
'Cause
it's kind of like a basis. I do see the inspiration in the book.
yeah, for sure.
Mhm. Let's see, what else can we say without spoiling it just yet?
Yeah, I was kind of looking over, but the more and more we talk about the progression of the story, it is going to start to give little,
Little
little
hints.
more details. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, let's see. I got an idea. Let's show some pictures of the characters
Yeah.
so then that way we can have like a basis and then the spoiling will begin. So much for that half hour.
Yes, I agree. Unfortunately, we're going to have to do spoilers.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's gonna happen. Let's bring up some pictures. So, of course, we have our main lady, Feyre. I have a picture of her right here. Here she is. So, in the beginning of the book, obviously, it's winter. Um, she's starving. She is starved. So, they did make a point on making her look very like scary looking.
Yeah, she looks very rough in the picture.
That's the word, rough. She's starving. They're starving. Like, they're always fighting. They're always fighting to survive because they don't have money. So she's a huntress. She just taught herself how to hunt for animals and how to use a bow and arrow, and she's a bad bitch. Let's just say it.
Yep.
She's a bad bitch.
Yeah, and since her mother passed away, she had to take on the parental role
Mhm.
to take care of her sisters
Mhm.
because her father was useless.
Pathetically useless.
Yeah,
Mhm.
useless.
Yep. So, obviously I have some scenes. I have when she kills the wolf. Very good part. You could tell in the book it was so good how they wrote that scene, how they knew that there were things coming down across the wall, and they kept telling themselves it's been 500 years since this wall came up, right?
Mm.
So you obviously think that they haven't had any contact with the other side of the wall, but eventually things start coming over the wall. And this scene was really good. I'm sure you agree with me, Del. When she sees the wolf in the forest, she already knew right away that that was a fae.
Yeah, because of the size difference.
Yeah, and I love
And
how
it
they. Go ahead.
it looked so different. It had like some it was bigger, she said, than what she's used to seeing.
Mm-hmm.
And I think she said something about it being like a little more like along the lines of being like glamorous.
Yeah, I remember her writing saying that it was bigger than a normal average wolf.
Yeah.
That its eyes glowed, all that ethereal look to a wolf that shouldn't be
Yeah.
there. And what makes me laugh is the fact that the whole time she's seeing this wolf, she's telling herself it's a wolf. It's not a fae. It's a wolf. Like she kept on trying to like coax herself that she's not killing a fae, which would be terrible because if she killed a fae, you know that more are gonna come after her. But she
Of
kept telling
course.
herself, my hatred is so much for this thing. It's a wolf. It's better if it's dead. So it was pretty good. I like that scene a lot. And of course, in the book, it's written so quick. She kills that damn wolf so fast that you're like, oh, she just killed a
All
wolf.
happens very, very quickly.
Yeah, it's just she just killed a wolf. All right, skin it. Let's get its fur and go sell it.
Yep. Just carries it home.
Just
This
kidding.
wolf that's huge. And then, not to mention, she's like starving. She does express a few times how she doesn't have like a crazy amount of energy because they're getting weak from not being able to eat properly, also from not being able to stay warm. But she somehow managed to carry that wolf home with her.
She really wanted it. She really really wanted it. Anyways, yeah, so she kills the wolf. She takes it with her. She sells the coat and while she's home, when she goes back home, spoilers, this is where we start with the spoilers. Something comes to their cabin.
Power of hunger. I agree.
Yeah.
Even though it's not, you wrote hanger.
When you're
I like
hungry,
that.
a wolf sounds like a good meal. Anything sounds good at that point.
Anything is carryable at that point.
Hmm. Yes.
I just
So
think like I feel like it would have been more if like maybe she dragged it, to
that
kind of give like the because of her being weak and stuff, right?
that
And
big
it
ass
being
wolf.
apparently being so big.
And
But
I think she carried the deer too, cause she was out there trying to kill a deer.
yeah.
I think she carried a deer and the fucking wolf pelt. This girl is
uh,
savage, bro.
well,
She's a
okay.
savage character. She's one of my
She
favorite
is a
characters.
savage for sure.
I freaking love her. Like her character development throughout all the books are so good, first off, but in the first book she has the best development.
She's definitely very empowering.
Yeah. She really is.
Yeah.
So yeah, she gets back to the cabin with her sisters. Oh, let's introduce her sisters. So she has two sisters. We've got Nesta, who is the oldest, very pretty
And
girl.
and a prude.
Very, yeah. I can't freaking stand her. I freaking hate her so much. She
She is a
is,
prude.
she's a bitch. She ain't a prude. She's a bitch, bro.
She is a bitch.
God, what a mean sister. Like,
Does like nothing, no help,
nothing at all. All she does is
and
fucking
complains.
complain. That's all she does. Complain, complain. She hates her father. I don't know if she hates Feyre, but like, she's just such a bitch. The only one
I
she
think
cares
she
about is
hates
Elaine.
like I think she hates her ways because she goes out and she hunts and she does stuff that's not really like ladylike. Because even with them being poor, she still acts like they're not.
I just don't like the fact that as soon as Feyre came back with the money from the pelts, when she went to go sell the wolf pelt, F-
Hmm.
um, Nesta took her money and then went and bought boots. What
Yeah, she
what
wanted
the
it for
hell?
luxuries. Yeah.
What the hell, dude? She bought herself boots because her boots weren't good enough. Meanwhile, you're looking at Feyre's boots and her boots are falling apart. She has them like tied around with
Yeah.
rope and shit. And then she buys Elaine like a gardening kit or something because, Elaine's a little princess, so she deserves all the toys. While poor Feyre has to patch together like pieces of old clothing. Poor Feyre, bro.
Yeah. Yeah.
Fucking hate Nesta. I really do. In this book, she is such a bitch. I hate her. And then we have Elaine. Um, she looks like Ariana Grande. That's what she looks like to me.
She really does.
She looks like Ariana Grande, but she's actually the cutest. I think they described her in the book as the cutest, like, pretty girl. You know, she's an airhead.
She's apparently the prettiest out of the three.
Yeah, she's the prettiest. I think Nesta is always considered the most beautiful, and then Feyre is considered what the most. I don't know, something. She's very pretty too, apparently, but she always describes her sisters as way more beautiful than her.
Yeah,
But I
she
think that's just
does.
a character thing, right? Like you people do that. Like, oh, I'm pretty, but not as pretty as this person, you know?
She talks very fond of Elaine.
She does. Elaine is a sweetheart, but I feel like she's such an airhead. And the
She's an
She
airhead.
really is. Feyre's going out there hunting things, and she brings back the deer or the rabbit or whatever the hell she brought back. And Elaine goes up to her and says, "Ooh, food. So when will it be ready?" And it's like, you're older than me. Can't you at least skin it and cook it for us? Like, fuck. I went out there and froze my ass off in the fucking terrain. The least you could do is fucking dress the food. Can't you just fuck? And she's just there looking
Yeah,
at
right.
Feyre like, please. Yeah. What a family. And her father. I don't have a picture of her father, but That guy's useless. He just sits around carving things all day. I think in the book, he carves something, and a drifter asks him, "Oh, I'll give you this incantation that won't let Fae into your lands if you give me a carving."
Yeah.
No mind that
That
it didn't work,
yeah,
obviously.
it did not work. And the whole silver thing, is it silver?
Iron. Iron.
Iron. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
they're iron rings.
Yeah, iron, they had bangles or bracelets or something. Yeah.
Oh, my
So
goodness.
apparently, Fae don't like iron. They can't tell lies, and you can't eat their food. Yeah, in this book they do that. So, of course, the sisters are wearing iron. Feyre doesn't believe it. She's a smart lady. She's like, there's no fucking way that iron bothers them. I don't have anything iron. There's no way these mighty beings. What am I gonna do? Throw iron at them? No. So yeah. Back to the story. So in the cabin, when they get back home eventually, nighttime, something appears at their cabin. Something very big, very scary, and very strong. Tamlin. Let's talk about some Tamlin action here. What'd you think about Tamlin?
I loved Tamlin.
How much do you love Tamlin? I
A
love
lot.
Tamlin. Yeah.
I love him.
Yes. So our
He was such a good character. He had great character growth.
yeah. I wasn't
He went
expecting
from
him.
You weren't expecting him?
I wasn't expecting him to be the character that he became.
Yeah, I wasn't either. I thought he was going to be miserable through the whole book.
I thought he was very interesting. He shows up at the cabin. This big, what was it? Cat slash wolf like
Wolf, yeah.
beast shows up at the cabin and breaks down their door. And
Yeah, his form is really confusing
it's like a
because
mix of
he
a few
doesn't
things.
yeah, like he doesn't it doesn't seem like he takes the form of an actual like wolf.
It's
Like
like a
he's
mixture.
yeah, like he's still like I think he can still like talk and stuff
Oh yeah, he
as
definitely
normal.
does.
Yeah, like
Yeah. He breaks down that door and he goes, "Who killed Andrus?" Which is the
yeah.
wolf, which we find out is the wolf. Who killed Andrus? A life for a life. And Feyre, of course, wants to protect her family because she's noble and honorable and loyal. And she offers herself up and says, "I'm the one that killed the wolf." So he gives her an ultimatum at that moment.
Yeah.
Either
Cuz like
die
she
here,
also broke the treaty.
yeah, either die here or come live in the Fey lands, which is Prithian. And of course, her father comes up to her and says, "Go and live and find a better life." Because at the end of the day, that's their father. He loves them. He doesn't want them to die or get hurt. He wants a better life for them. I mean, they were rich before. And of course, he squandered their money and they became poor. And their mother died and Feyre was left to take care of all of them. So of course, this is a story and there's lots of adventure, so Feyre takes it and she is whisked away to Springcourt, where the majority of this story is told. Springcourt. Why was go live in the Fey realm? Go live in the Fey realm? Okay. Do you want to explain, Del?
I'm just reading the question. Well, apparently from 100 years back, they had a treaty set to where humans and the fairies couldn't hurt each other. And because she had killed the wolf, her options were to either die or be kind of like his prisoner.
Mm-hmm.
So she took the option to go back and stay with him.
I
Probably in hopes at that point that maybe she would be able to return back.
I think
She
that the
did.
treaty, I'm sorry to interrupt you. I think that
Go
the
ahead.
treaty, like going off of what you said, she had to replace the life she took.
Okay.
That's what he wanted. Either die here or replace the life she took. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But her adventure towards there was kind of funny because she had like this little knife that she kept thinking she was gonna
Oh yeah.
fight him with her little
Oh,
knife.
I love that part when he finally tells her, "What are you gonna do with that little knife?" And she was like,
Yeah.
"What knife are you talking about? The one you've been hiding this whole time. You think that that can hurt me? It really can't."
Yeah. She had this little knife to protect herself.
She was funny, bro. I loved her living in Springcourt. So of course she gets to Springcourt, and it's this dazzling place. It's so beautiful. It's gorgeous. Like it's Springcourt. So think of like this beautiful mansion surrounded by trees and, greenery and lakes and glens and just sunlight, and it's just beautiful, beautiful.
Full of flowers.
Full of
She always
flowers.
talks about the flowers, like flower gardens
It's
and
just
stuff.
beautiful everywhere. And she can't believe it. Like, none of us can, because in the beginning of the book, she lives in a wasteland, in like this never-ending winter where there's no beauty, there's nothing. Even the town where she goes to sell off the pelts, it sounds terrible. It sounds dry, dusty, the buildings are hardly standing up, the people look hungry and angry. Just it looks terrible. And then coming to this magical mythical place, you already know in her head she's already hating the fuck out of it, because she's wondering, why do these people live in such beauty and like serenity, and we live in such horrible conditions? That's where her hate stems from, staying there for sure.
Hmm.
Mhm. um there was something else that I wanted to mention about her. It'll come back to me. But yeah, Springcourt's beautiful. And when she gets there, the only people living there is Tamlin and his best friend Lucian, another character.
Along with like their servants and stuff also.
Hmm.
They have lots of servants.
In the story, she meets them, but they can't. They have masks on, and that's part of the curse. So you can't really see what's under the mask, and that's part of the mystery. Of course, this story is a mystery as well. In Springcourt, of course, Feyre doesn't trust any of them.
No.
She was told her whole life, fairies can't lie. I love that scene when they're sitting, when they first sit down on the table. It's just her, Lucian, and Tamlin, and they're sitting in the table, and I think Lucian tells her, "Oh, you look beautiful today," because she decided to finally wear a dress. Because at this point of the story, she's starting to warm up to them.
Hmm.
And she goes, "I thought you couldn't tell a lie." And he looks at her, he goes, "Who the hell told you that?" Of course we can lie. And she was like, the whole time me living here, I was like, oh, he's telling the truth because he can't lie. But apparently, she's been told
Yeah,
wrong this whole time.
she had a lot of funny moments. I liked when she first sat at the table for the very first time
Hmm.
and Tamlin's like, eat. And she wouldn't touch the food because she was scared it was going to poison her.
Yeah, poison her. I
Uh,
think it's if you eat their food, you become their slave, and you can't
yeah,
leave
like
ever. Oh, that's
that
so good.
stuff was so funny.
Hmm. So, at this point in the story, we're in Springcourt. Feyre is, she doesn't trust anyone. She doesn't know who they are. These are her mortal enemies. She doesn't even know how long she'll live, so she's always looking for an exit. Every chapter is her walking through the manor, looking for exits, looking for ways to escape. She
Yeah.
even starts making her own map. where she starts putting X's on spots where would be a good idea to run, or can't go this way, can't go that way. And she's come to the conclusion that she feels like a prisoner. But Tamlin tells her, "You're not my prisoner. You can live anywhere you want here, but you must stay here." Lucian, of course, does not like her whatsoever.
No.
He does not like her. He doesn't want her here. He even is an asshole. Remember the part with the Suriel? I love that part.
Yeah.
He was begging her. Um, Feyre decides to find this mythical being in the forest called a Suriel. And a Suriel can not tell you lies, and they know the future. So you are allowed to ask them 5 questions, I think it was, right?
I think so, yeah.
I think you're allowed to ask them 5 questions and they must answer you, but you have to capture them and trick them. So she goes to Lucian one day, "How do I capture a Suriel?" And of course, he shouldn't be telling her how to capture it, but he does it anyway because he doesn't want, he wants her to get in trouble. He's like dying for her to find a way to kill herself or off herself or run away or something. And of course, our badass bitch catches the Suriel and asks her 5 questions. Such a good story. I really like that part. But
Yeah, I liked that part too. But before we continue forward, one thing I have to bring up is the times where she would go to sleep were something I used to always laugh about when I was reading the book
tell me why.
because she would trap her door.
Oh,
She would do like trap because she was scared they were gonna come in,
that's so true.
and that always cracked me up.
Oh, the time when Alice opens the door and gets stuck in the trap.
Yeah,
That's amazing. Oh,
yeah. I honestly like I loved that. She did everything in her power to try and like find ways out, trapped her door. Like it was just she was so funny while she was there.
I love the fact that she tried. She really did try. And Alice gets trapped in thing,
Yeah.
and she goes, "What the hell is this?" And she goes, "It's so I can get away." And she's like, "How the hell are you gonna get away? We run faster than you. We can grab you. Like, this will not do anything." And Fair is just like, "Oh, any chance I can get." I thought that was
It was
so
just
funny.
so good. I loved it. So
hmm
good.
Springcourt. Would you live there?
Yes, the sounds of it sounds amazing.
It sounds beautiful to me.
Yeah, I
Uh,
would definitely live there.
it sounds great. Um, in the story, what was your favorite scene in Springcourt?
When they go to the lake,
Ah, I knew you
the
were gonna say that. I knew you were gonna say that. Ah,
I love that.
I freaking love
I
that
would
part.
love like for that to be real.
It was just, it was just such a good. It's just so good. I love how her and Tamlin and Lucian, they do not get along whatsoever. And then slowly as the story progresses, Tamlin is avoiding her because of reasons that we will explain later. Um, Lucian's avoiding her because he hates humans. He hates humans. And then as they start warming up to each other by just having dinner with each other. I think that that was the key. Sitting down and having dinner with each other even though it wasn't like they weren't among friends, but I think it was just like the general closeness and just the feeling of kind of camaraderie because I felt like they didn't really have like that family aspect. They were just kind of like they're cursed. They're,
Hmm.
they're cursed. They're going through this curse and just having her there being herself. I love her. I love her comebacks. She always
Oh,
had
I
a
do too.
comeback. She always had a comeback and she always had a way to say shut the fuck up. She kind of acted kind of like a Nesta now that I think about it.
Oh no.
She kind of had a Nesta attitude. Maybe that's why her and her sister can't get along. They're kind of the same in that aspect, aren't they?
I guess in some ways, but I feel like her sister is more hateful.
Hmm. Preach, sister. Preach. She, she's a bitch. I'll
Yeah,
never
she
call her
is.
nothing else but bitch, bro. She's so mean. Um, but yeah, that scene of the lake. Oh my god, so good.
Well, we'll get there. I want to talk a little bit about how like the development of how he started to like show that he was starting to like care about her.
Ooh, yes, tell me.
Cuz remember the time in the story when she was looking out her window and she was waiting for him to return
Oh yeah.
and she thought that she saw her father
That was such a good scene.
because
Yes.
she was like always wondering if her family was looking for her or thinking about her.
Yes. What a good scene. That's like
Yeah.
that's pretty early in the book too. Good. Good thinking.
Yeah, that was early in the book, yeah.
Mhm. I think that
And
happened right after they experienced the bog. So right after she was with Lucian in the woods on their regular
yeah, and
hunt.
like they told her to be quiet and they had to put
Mhm.
like a glimmer over her so she couldn't be seen.
Mhm. Yep. And that same night.
And then that same creature came back
Mhm.
and
And
it changed into the appearance of her father.
yeah, she put on her clothes and she ran to
And
him.
she ran and luckily Tamlin saved her before she got
Oh, that part was
further
so
away
good.
because at nighttime the demons are worse.
Mhm. He grabbed her right before she got to that door, right before that gate. And I remember reading, he said something like, "Stop and don't let your human senses cloud your judgment." And when she
Yeah.
looked back at where her father was standing, it turned into her sisters.
Yeah.
And then it just turned into something else and it just cycled through things that she's seen or been with in her life. Which, by the way, let's just put it out there, Feyre is not an innocent little virgin. She had a boyfriend back home, and it wasn't even a boyfriend, it was just a hookup. Let's talk about
Yeah, she had
Isaac.
a friends with benefits.
Yeah. I
Mr.
remember
Isaac.
Mr. Isaac, bro. And
Yep.
Nesta was such a bitch. She goes, "Oh, at least I don't tumble in the hay like you do." It was like, damn, Nesta. Fuck, you're supposed to be my sister and shit? Come on. You gotta be mean. But,
Yeah, she's always nagging at her.
like, shut up. You're not
She never
perfect.
did anything right.
No, she couldn't. That's terrible. Um, but yeah, that was such a good scene.
Yeah, I really like that scene. It kind of made me feel like when I had read it, that she kind of had some, oh, what's the word? Like understanding that like her family isn't looking for her.
That's when she finally gave up.
Yeah, like she realized like this was it, like she's here.
Yeah, that this
So
was
it's
her new
either she
home.
needs to change how she feels or she's going to be miserable forever.
Yeah. That's the point when she started losing hope for having a family. Her ties started breaking there with her family because they didn't care about her. At least they didn't show that they cared about her. They they made her the youngest out of all of them go into the woods all by herself to hunt for food. Who knows if she'd come home? It just seemed like they didn't care. I think at that moment she finally realized they're not coming to save me. And I think I remember reading Tamlin feeling sorry for her.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he did feel sorry for her.
it's
At times you can feel like you regret his decision to have her
there.
like force her there and stuff and that's when the relationship started to change after that point.
Mhm.
Because like I remember after that like she was always really disturbed by her nightmares And then she started having like empathy towards like what she did, like killing the wolf.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
And she started like always apologizing. Like I remember her apologizing like multiple times
Mm-hmm.
about killing like his friend.
Oh, that was the scene in the lake, actually. When
Was
you're,
it the one in the lake?
I believe so, when he takes her to the, obviously he starts warming up to her
Yeah.
because he
I think
sees it
my thing is though is I feel like he was forced to take her there.
to the Starlight Lake
Yeah, like I feel like Tamlin was always kind of like push not Tamlin, sorry, Lucian was always kind of like pushing him
to take
to
her.
like open up and to do stuff. Yeah.
I think, what, you're probably right, but when I was reading the book, I felt like it was the other way around.
You do? You feel like it was the other way around?
I kind of felt like it was the other way around. Like, I felt like Lucian was trying to tell him to get rid of her. But I kind of
No, I feel
understand
like
now.
I feel like after he kind of started to warm up to her. I feel like the whole incident when she captured the creature to ask the questions
Mm-hmm.
and he actually felt bad
Because he didn't
for
come. Yeah.
because he didn't go with her. Because I remember him like apologizing
Yeah. Because he
and
didn't.
stuff like that, and
I don't
he
think he.
regretted it after.
I don't think he. I think the reason why he apologized is because he thought that she'd die. And he was
Yeah,
okay with that.
but knowing like after seeing that she's pretty much a badass,
She is.
like she can handle her own. Because remember after, like I can't remember if it was before that incident or if it started after. She started going out with him,
Yeah.
like patrolling the forest and stuff like that.
Yeah. And Tamlin, I remember, tried to get her to come with him, but she wouldn't go with him.
No,
She wouldn't go with
she
him.
definitely started to like Lucian more before she started liking Tamlin.
Yeah. But Lucian was just. The reason why I think she liked Lucian more is because even though Lucian hated her, she liked knowing where he stood.
Yeah, he was honest with her. He didn't like tiptoe
Exactly.
around her.
Exactly. While Tamlin was so careful with everything he said. I remember
Yeah.
he would be quiet and growl or make a noise or something like
I
that
always thought that was so weird.
because he didn't know what to say around her.
Yeah.
He
But I always
was
find it weird in books when they write that they growl.
That's how this whole book is. I mean,
I
he
it is.
he said grr. Yes, he did, Lenny. He said grr.
I just find every time I would read that, I just kind of like smile, like trying to picture that scene in my head, and they're like sitting there eating at the table, and someone says something that someone doesn't like, and they growl. Like, who the fuck? No one do that in real
I mean, if you think about it, he is uh
a
a
beast,
beast, exactly. He could
but
turn into a beast, so
like you don't have to be a beast all the time. Like, I don't know. It's just funny.
I take it as it is. They're not human. They're fae. That's
I
something
know.
else. So maybe they just rar, Chang.
Well, like I don't know. I guess like before reading this book, I always pictured Faye as being like fucking butterflies, fucking claws coming out of their hands and
I mean,
fur and all this shit.
I really like how they personified these fae in this book. I really like it. They're
I agree, Lenny. They don't have to gur.
I don't mind it. I love the gur. I loved it.
Taylor's like
Rar.
gur in my ear.
Gur in my ear.
Just growl for me.
I love the gur. I'm into furries. Oh my god.
She is into furries.
Stop it.
Tamlin's definitely a furry.
He is. He's a furry. He's got claws and everything that come out when he gets angry. Yeah, but anyways, yeah, they gur. I am a
They
panda.
gur.
It
They
makes
growl.
sense. Um, where were we? We were they were gurring at the table. I kind of lost my train of thought.
Gurring. They growl. Gurring sounds weird.
I
They're
kind of like
gurring at the
I
table.
like the girl now. But okay.
Uh,
Anyways, yeah, so I liked her relationship with Lucian. I did.
I
Lucian,
do. I do too.
I, I
I love Lucien. He's probably like one of my faves.
he definitely becomes one of my favorites in this book as well. I
Yeah.
just love how like unapologetic he is about who he is. He he didn't like her, and he even told her to her face, "I don't like you." And she was okay with that. And she actually found a sort of comfort in that because she obviously doesn't like, nobody likes being lied to, you know? But she
No.
knew how to face it. That's what I liked about it, about their relationship. She knew how to deal with it. So she'd just be snarky with her attitude back at him. And he liked that. He liked that she was feisty. You know, she wasn't afraid to be herself and say what she had to say.
Yeah.
So they
I
were,
like that. I like their banter.
yeah, they were so witty. They made me laugh so many times.
Yeah, they had really good banter.
Let me see if I could just find one right now. They had such good ones. Let me see. Uh, I don't think I could find it that quick, but I'll keep looking while we're talking. Um, yeah, but as for Tamlin, I think they first started warming up to each other that night that he comes back wounded. Do you remember that
Yes.
part?
Yeah, I remember that part.
Mm-hmm. Where she, I think she was up late night at night trying to find exits and escapes and stuff.
Yeah.
Or was she woken up from a nightmare? Some one of the two.
It was one of those. She was constantly doing that stuff, so it probably was a mixture.
Yeah. So I remember she walks to like I guess the front door where there's like, the big staircase and all that stuff. And he comes in through the door and he's like clutching his arm and he's bleeding like all over the floor. And I don't know what came over her, but she wanted to help him.
Yep.
Maybe because I think maybe it was because he wasn't treating her like a slave or like a prisoner. He would let her do whatever she wanted every day. If she wanted to go out in the forest and hunt, she could go out in the forest and hunt. If she wanted to, I don't know, walk around the whole mansion, he'd let her. So maybe she didn't find him too oppressive, So she wanted to help him. And that moment that they had when she was helping him bandage him up, and I think he mentioned her mother. Or no, he mentioned her family and she had told him that her mother had passed away when she was young, and then he brought out a little bit of his history, which was the first time we had him like really explain to her and talk to her about how his family died, about his mother
Yep.
and his brothers, how they died. And I think that kind of like it gave him like a very human feel, and I think that's when we first started really liking him. At least I did.
Yeah. I liked him from the beginning.
Mhm.
I don't know. I'm weird. I always like people right away. I just thought he was kind of weird, but I liked him.
Yeah. I like him because he wasn't very open at first. He was mysterious. But Lucian was great. I loved Lucian.
Yeah, Lucien was
Hmm.
hilarious.
So then from here, we could talk about the Starlight Pond, right?
Well, I'm just wondering, did there was one incident that happened with another Fae showing up in the middle of the night screaming.
Oh, yes, the blue
But I
fae.
can't remember if that happened before they went swimming or if that was after.
I think that the blue fae, he was a blue fae from Summer Court.
Yeah, and like somebody had teared,
Hi, Trap
they cut his
God.
wings.
Hey, look, it's Trap God.
Debo, welcome Debo.
Hi, Debo. Yeah, it kind of
Eh,
reminds me of Beauty and the Beast. Yeah, yeah. That's pretty much what I think this book was written about. It's like another version of it.
yeah, it's like a retelling almost.
Yeah, that's what it is. But I think it's better than Beauty and the Beast, in my opinion.
Yeah, I like it better than Beauty and the Beast.
So good, so good. Um, as for what you,
I'm thinking it happens after.
I think it does too because that's what sets off the real story.
Yeah.
because you find out there's an enemy at that point.
Mhm.
But the Starlight Pond, before we get to that part, oh, that scene was so good. I loved it. He goes to
Oh,
her. I think
I
he
loved
he
it.
goes to her. This was after the wound, and then I remember they were walking in like the gardens
Yeah.
around his house, and he was explaining to her his family dynamic and how his mother and father they didn't match for each other whatsoever, but they were mates, which in this world is stronger than being married. It's like this pull that you feel, and it's like soulmates, I guess, right? It would be considered like soulmates, but it's like
Yeah.
a pull that you feel, and it's stronger than any pull that you'll ever feel, right? And I
Mhm.
think in the book he mentions about his mother and father how they did not match like whatsoever. His mother was kind and beautiful, and his father was actually pro-slavery. Eee. Like
Mhm.
pro-human slavery. Like he was terrible. But he had given Tamlin's mother as a present all the gardens and the roses around the whole house because she loved flowers. And then I think it was the following day he took her to the Starlight Pond. He takes her there because he's like, I'm going to show you somewhere that I used to go to when I was young and I used to escape from the house. And it's a beautiful lake made of starlight. Oh, what a good scene. They swim through that pond, didn't they?
Yeah, they went swimming and she, like I remember her saying that like it just felt like silky
Yeah, it wasn't
and
water.
stuff. It wasn't water.
Yeah, such a good scene.
Yeah, I loved it. That's probably where I really started to like Tamlin
Yeah.
because it was like
Oh,
one of those cutesy
yeah.
like cutesy scenes and stuff like that.
That's a scene too where he removes the glamour off of her.
Yes, and she was able to actually see
Everything.
yeah, see him for like the first time.
Mhm. Because
Yeah.
apparently when she first came to the castle or the manor or whatever you want to call it, when she first arrived there, all she saw was Lucian and Tamlin. She didn't see anyone else there. And
Well,
then
she didn't see anybody else like in their actual forms
mhm.
because everybody looked normal to her.
Mhm.
And then I remember when the glamour came off. Is her name pronounced Atlas?
Mhm. Alice.
Alice. When they take the glamour off her, she looks like branches.
Her skin looks like
And I
tree
remember
bark.
she like
Mhm.
yeah, and I remember like she like freaked out when she was in her room. She's like, "Who the hell are you?" or something like that. And she's like, and I think she was like along the lines of like, "Have you gone like mental? Like, what do you mean? Who am
It's
I?
me. It's Alice.
like,
She's like, who
like,
the fuck are you?
I'm in here every day since you've been here."
That was a good scene.
Yeah, it was pretty funny because then everybody, with their normal selves.
I love that part when he takes the glamour off of her. It's so pretty. When he goes to her something like would you want to see what I see? And she was something like, what do you mean? And he's like, you don't know what it is to see beauty or something like that. I don't know. I'm not saying the words right, but it was along those
Yeah,
lines. And she goes, okay. And he goes, I'll let you see if you give me a kiss. And she says no or something, like she just flirts with the idea but she doesn't do it. So
yeah.
he kisses her eyes, like
Her he kisses her eyebrow.
yeah, her brows or
Yeah, I
something.
know what you're talking about. Yeah,
And
he
then
kisses her brow.
when she opens her eyes, she sees the world's spring court for what it really is and what he really looks like, which he looks fucking amazing. He's got glowing hair and he has this ethereal look about him, and everything looks just beautiful and just breathing. She said everything looked alive.
Yeah,
And it was such a good scene. And then they swim in the starlight. Oh, so
yeah.
cute. So
I
fucking
loved it.
cute.
I loved that part. It's
Oh,
so good.
I can't wait. I can't wait to see that. Oh.
And like after that happens, like he starts to kind of like open up to her, show her more. So
Mhm.
like where like the Beauty and the Beast thing comes in with like, Belle like the book.
Mhm.
Freya likes the painting. So he like takes her after to like the art gallery
Oh,
in the
yes.
home.
Just like the scene in Beauty and the Beast when he takes her to the library.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like he takes her to see the books,
I
but she
love
like
that.
and then he buys her like a bunch of paint.
Well, she asks him for it.
Did she ask for it? I couldn't
Yes.
remember.
Because okay, remember we have Feyre and she's kind of like a hurt human being. Like she realizes her family's not going to come get her. She believes she's been abandoned. She's hurt. And then she figures out that she has to start making this her home because this is her home. And I think it was during that starlight part where he said something to her like I want you to be happy or maybe I want you to call this home or something like that. So
Yeah.
that's when she comes up to him like a few days later and she goes, I want to see that gallery because he had mentioned it to her before, but he told her not to go in because it's dirty. Something like that. And she
Yeah.
goes, I want paints. Can you give me paints? Because she wants to start feeling like this is home. You know?
Yeah.
She starts realizing that she doesn't have anything to like anything to be worried about. She doesn't have to search for food. She doesn't she could start living like a cushy life. Something she could have had a long time ago, but her father squandered away their money, so
Yep.
so she asked him for paints and then the gallery scene. Tell us about that gallery scene, Del.
I remember her going in and being so in love with all the paintings and stuff like that.
Mhm.
And then she finds like the one painting that is a map
Oh yeah,
of all of the place.
which is
And
huge.
yeah, and that's when she starts like trying to almost look like she is looking for other ways where she could wander off to if she had to.
Mhm.
When I cough, sorry, hold on. Sorry guys, I have a bit of a cold, so the coughing is real when I talk. So also, when she's starting to look at that map, we also learn that she cannot read
Oh
or
yeah.
write.
Poor Feyre, man.
Yeah,
I feel so bad for her about that. So Feyre was raised without ever being taught how to read or write.
yeah. And when she goes in there, she's surrounded by painting and she's surrounded by books, but
She can't read.
she can't read anything. And at that point, she wanted to write her family a letter, but she couldn't
Mhm.
because she couldn't do it. So Tamlin came across her list of words that she was
That
trying
she couldn't
to
pronounce.
she couldn't pronounce.
Poor Feyre. She literally
But
made a list of words she couldn't pronounce.
yeah,
A long list.
yeah, and he offered to teach her and stuff like that, but she refused it. She was very, very guarded
She was
when
proud.
it came to, yeah, to allowing anybody in, to help her with that.
I don't blame her
But
though.
the cute thing was with that is
Oh.
once they started to kind of like get more comfortable with each other and stuff, Tamlin actually used to take those words and like recite them to her
I
in
love
like
that part.
poems and stuff
Like
like that.
Mad Libs with her.
Yeah, like it was really cute.
He found that she had crumpled up that list and thrown it away because she didn't want him
Yeah,
to
she
see it.
did.
And then, of course, she left the gallery and the following day. I think they went on a walk like they always did because that was like their thing.
Yeah.
They love to walk the grounds and
And yeah, they used
just
to go and sit in like fields of grass, I remember, like on like hills and stuff.
and just talk, you know?
Yeah.
Super cute, super innocent, just getting to know
Yeah.
each other, you know? And the moment that he brought out that list, her face goes white.
Yeah, she was so angry.
She didn't know what to do with herself, but I loved him because he literally started making like poems with the
Yeah.
words that she was writing. I think he even says in the book, "Are you trying to insult me?" Cuz the words that she chose were like just wrong words, like things to describe somebody, but they weren't nice
Yeah.
words.
No, they weren't like beast and oh, Poor Tamlin.
But he was funny. I love that
Oh,
part of him. Like that showed like the joking side of him, which we didn't see whatsoever. We thought he was always serious.
yeah.
It was
I loved all those scenes. They were so cute.
yeah. This makes me want to read it again.
It gets you in your feels when
It
you start to read
does.
that stuff.
It does because it's
Like
just
I
so
remember like,
nice. Hmm.
like just totally fangirling, being back in my high school days, just soaking it up. Like as cheesy as that sounds, I loved it.
I loved it too. It was
It was
just
so good.
it was innocent and it was nice. I loved it. Um
But
that scene was great.
these these next parts that are now coming into play, we're kind of at Fire Night now.
Oh, hold on.
where
Before
the
Calanmai, before
where
we
the
talk,
steamy stuff starts to happen.
yes, before Calanmai, I think that's how you pronounce it. Calanmai, the festival with the
Yeah, I think
fire.
it's like it's that or it's Fire Night. I went for the Fire Night because I knew I was gonna like struggle with that, so it's like I'm just gonna say Fire Night.
Before Calanmai, the blue fairy.
Oh yes, it was that
Yes,
before then. Okay,
literally right before, because that's when we
okay,
start talking about the real issue at hand. Why is this curse happening? Who cursed
okay.
them? So,
So yeah, that
mhm.
fairy incident, super scary.
And it happened at night too. She was
It happened
literally
at night.
dead asleep and she just hears screaming in the middle of the night.
Yeah. She comes out to investigate what's going on and finds Tamlin and another Fae in like the hallway, and someone carved out the Fae's wings.
Hmm.
So all of the Fae in their world have different
There's different types of fae.
appearances.
Yeah, there's different
Yeah.
types of fae. Like there's like the high elf, the high fae, and then
Yeah.
there's like lesser fae.
Yeah.
And lesser fae can either look more mythical or mystical or creature-like, or they can be something different. Like there's wraiths
Yeah.
that have black skin. Oh, there's
Yeah.
Alice with the tree bark skin. Like there's different
Yeah.
types of fae.
Some can fly, some
Hmm.
can't.
Hmm.
So like Tamlin doesn't have wings. He's a shapeshifter.
Yeah. There's not there's different types. So this blue
Like Lucian can't shapeshift.
mm-mm. Oh yeah.
But he
There's
can how do you pronounce the thing that they do? Winnow?
Winnow.
It's winnow? Okay,
Mhm.
thank you. So
Yeah.
like he can do that, which, puts him in one area and then kinda
Kind of like a
fast
teleport.
travels
Mhm.
to another area.
Yes, they do have special powers, Lenny. Like every
Yeah, they do.
especially high fae. High fae are considered the strongest of the strong. They're pure
And I think
blood.
like it also like yeah, they have high fae, but then they also have like high lords,
Which are
which I think are like the most powerful.
I think they're considered the kings of each realm.
The kings.
Yeah,
Okay.
because as you can see in our picture back here, there's different courts. So we've got day court, dawn court, winter court, summer court, autumn court, spring court. This was the wall right here, and this was Feyre's village. So as you can see, she lived right
Yes.
on the line, pretty
Yeah.
much. This was Feyre's village,
But
and
like you
hmm
can see how they have like nothing.
yeah, they had nothing down there.
It's so small. Like
I mean, look at all this up here above the wall is all Fey.
yeah.
And then over
Yeah.
here, this is the other continent. Here's the wall. This is all Fey.
There's even like another section you can't see because it's behind your tuber.
Highburns Island. As you know,
Okay.
all this right here is all from all the books. You will meet all these different
Yeah.
courts in the different books. But for right now, it's all Spring Court. But yeah, here's Spring Court. This is where Feyre and Tamlin and Lucian are. Each court has the High Lord. A High Lord is kind of, in my opinion, like a king. They rule that whole area, and they're the strongest, period. So Tamlin is their High Lord of Spring Court. So he's pretty strong, but because of his curse, he's not as strong as you think he is.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So
I want
yeah.
to talk about another cute scene. that
Go.
happens before Nightfire that I completely forgot about.
Yes.
So after she has like her nightmares and stuff like that, she I think after everything happened with the fairy, it might have been after that night, like after they sorted everything, she like goes out into the garden and stuff like that. And do you remember she goes to grab a rose and she hurts herself?
I love
And
that
then
scene.
Tamlin kisses her wound.
Oh, I love that scene.
Yeah, I love that
What did
too.
he say to her there? I can't
I
remember.
can't I can't remember.
It was such a good scene. I think it was they were walking through the flowers. Oh my god, this is killing me. I need to know.
Yeah, I can't remember.
I think that was chapter 24. Cuz chapter 25 is the firefly scene.
Chapter 19.
Chapter 19.
Yeah, and it's so cute.
Sh- Oh, yeah, there it is. Okay. Feyre tells Tamlin she's upset that her family didn't fight for her or try to find her. Feyre grabs a rose, stabbing her hand with a thorn. Tamlin kisses her palm to heal the wound. He promises answers to her questions when it's safe, because
Yeah,
she had asked him about the mask. Oh my
yeah,
god, the scene where she tries to take his mask off.
yes.
Oh my god, what a good scene. I love that scene because it wasn't that she wanted to see behind the mask. She just wanted to appreciate him. I think that's what it was.
Yeah, that's
Because,
what she had said.
yes, like she said something along the lines of, I don't need to know what you look like down there, but I just want. It's like, I think she felt like that was the barrier that wouldn't let them connect.
Yeah,
You get me?
yeah.
Oh, what a good. Thank you for bringing that up. I love
You're
that scene.
welcome. I, I'm all for all the cutesy stuff.
Ah, what a good scene.
It's so good.
So, Cal and Mai,
Yep. Fire Night.
we're gonna talk about Fire Night. What a good freaking part of the book.
It is. It's a bit crazy.
Oh wait, hold on. Before we keep going with Fire Night, the blue fairy. We need to explain who hurt him.
Okay, go ahead.
We forgot the blue fairy.
I just want to talk about Fire Night.
I don't blame you. I don't blame you. It's such a good part. That's when the book really starts going good. Um, so very quickly, that blue fairy that shows up at night, really really late at night, had his rings, wow, his wings literally ripped off of his body. Tamlin carries him into the house and tries to start helping him, healing him with his powers, and he just couldn't. Lucian walks in and sees the destruction of this poor being, and he starts throwing up everywhere because apparently it was so gory. It looked terrible. Feyre, trying to help Tamlin, holds the fairy down while Tamlin tries to heal him. But at some point she looks at Tamlin and Tamlin's like, he's not gonna make it. And so while the fairy's dying, she holds his hands and she tries to comfort him. And I remember the fairy saying, she ripped my wings off, she ripped my wings off. And he's like, I just want my wings. I want to go home. I want to go home. And she's like, oh, you're going to get your wings back. You're going to go back home. And then the fairy dies. And then that's
Yeah,
the moment that we realize that there's someone out there hurting the fae, who put this curse on them. Who is it? And then that's when she starts asking questions. And I think that's when the moment of the thorn and the rose happen, because he tells her, I will tell you everything when it's safe.
yeah,
So they know who it is. They just don't want to tell her just yet. And then we go to Calanmai.
yeah. I love
Fire Night.
it. Fire Night.
Oh, so in Prithian, well, in Springcourt, because it's not throughout all of Prithian, everybody has their own festivals and stuff because, spring celebrates spring. Um, they have Fire Night. Fire Night as it's described in the book, is a night where magic is the strongest, and they try to replenish spring into the land, and only the High Lord can do this because he is part of Spring Court. Just to let you know, Spring Court is always spring because of the powers of the High Lord that lives in that realm. They're the ones that keep it spring eternal, or winter eternal, or summer eternal.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you want to explain the scene?
Yeah. So, so for the fire night, it's a ceremony, and for it to take effect, the High Lord has to mate with somebody.
Ooh.
And how the mating works is he's drawn to the person. So he doesn't really get to pick who he wants to mate with. It's like
An instinctual
whoever,
thing.
yeah, it's like he's drawn to that person, so he goes for them.
Mm-hmm.
And before the festival begins, Freya is told that she's not allowed to leave her room,
Mm-hmm.
that she is to stay in her room and lock herself up because it could get really dangerous for her.
She is human after all,
Yeah, and Tamlin has no control
over what he
over
does.
what he does for those couple of
He's
hours.
not himself.
Yeah, so of course she doesn't listen. She
It-
goes down to the festival.
who would want to read a story where she listens? Come on.
Yeah, she gets herself in a little situation where some other Fae are irritating her,
Hmm.
and it's not good at all because their intentions aren't good.
Yeah, they're
But
looking for some
luckily,
tail.
yep, but luckily, she has somebody come to her rescue, where this is a new character now named Ryzen,
Oof.
where he comes in and saves her from the situation.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't have a big part in this at this point in the story, so he just kind of drops in, doesn't really introduce himself, but gets her out of the situation and then he leaves. I believe at that point she is, I don't know if she was found by Lucian and then taken back up to the house, or if she ends up going or
Um.
not. I can't remember.
So in this scene, this is Ryson, by the way.
Yes.
Yes, this is him. He doesn't have a mask. He's not from Spring Court. He's from somewhere else. He's another court.
Yep.
So he saves her, stops them from trying to literally rape her, because that's what they were
Yeah.
trying to do. And Lucian finds her and tells her, "What are you doing down here? You're not
Okay.
supposed
So
to be
Lucy, I
here."
couldn't remember if she went back or
Oh,
if
Lucian finds
Lucian.
her. And then on the way back to the manor, when he gets her inside the manor, Tamlin shows up. And he's still raging from the Fire Night festivities. And I remember he finds her in the kitchen and pins her against the wall.
Pins her on the wall.
Yes, and then
Yeah.
spiciness ensues when he pins her against the wall and he bites her neck and bruises
Yeah, and
her.
he's like, I was looking for you.
I was looking for you. And she's like, "But I'm here. I'm not outside." And he goes, "I don't care." And she goes, "You're hurting me." And then he's like, "If you don't listen to what I have to tell you, then I don't have to listen to what you're telling me now." It's like, take it, bitch. You're a bad girl. What a good scene.
The best part of the book.
Literally, the amount of sexual frustration that is felt in that scene is just, it's so thick. You can't even cut it
Yeah.
with a knife. It's like, we know that you guys have been feeling something for each other for a while now. And it's obvious you're telling her to stay inside because you don't know what you'll do when you find her. You're gonna ravish the fuck out of her, you know? But it's just, we all wanted to see that scene.
Yeah, that was so good. I absolutely loved it.
I love the part, when you're reading the chapter and you're like reading the part when she's like, nah, fuck that, I'm going outside. You're like, hell yeah, I'm reading this whole chapter.
I like the after effect. She brings it up to him about the whole biting and stuff like that,
Oh
and like
yeah, she
she
shows up.
calls him she calls him a fairy pig.
A fairy pig. She shows up to breakfast the next morning and she doesn't even try to hide the bruising and all that stuff that he did to her neck, like all the biting and stuff. And they're like, you're not even trying to hide it. That's when she calls him a fairy pig.
Yeah,
And it's funny because Lucian and him start cracking up.
yeah. I love it. It's so good. And then he gave her like flowers
Oh,
later.
the white roses to apologize
Yeah.
for the bite. Oh, he's
Like
so romantic.
it's so cute.
He's so fucking romantic. And then we have the solstice, because it's a whole week of festivities.
Yeah.
Because it's all spring. It's spring. So, but he bites? Yeah, he bites. He's a freaking beast. He's got to
Yeah,
bite.
he's a wolf.
Let me tell you, Manchu, Max, the amount of sexual frustration that this thing winds up. Like, you're reading every chapter, like when they first start like getting to like each other, but they don't want to admit it. Like, the way that the author writes it, she knows what she wants.
There's
There's
so much teasing.
yes, and there's even scenes where like, or not scenes, but like written
He
word.
isn't romantic. I don't know.
I think they go hand in hand, in my opinion.
Yeah.
It's
You
so.
gotta read it. You gotta read it.
I love the scenes where like Feyre's funny, bro. She totally admits what she is and when she feels what she feels. That's what I like about her. Um, they're not even doing anything specific. They're just near each other. And then the author writes, um, as Feyre, because it's in Feyre's perspective. I started to feel the heat from between my legs and stuff like that. I was like, God damn, girl. Even standing next to him, you're getting hot? Like, I was
Yeah.
like, it's
She does.
this.
She starts getting like really crazy.
That's why I love this book. Like, it's not specifically smut, I guess, but the author doesn't lie. And she writes what the character's feeling and she wants to fuck him.
Yep.
That's pretty much what
I
she
like
wants.
it starts to progress and then it's like they're left alone after in the room where they eat and
Hmm.
she's like, you're too far away.
Oh, that's such a good scene. When Lucy,
Yeah.
I think that was that morning when she wakes up and shows him the bites or whatever.
Yeah, he ends up leaving.
Lucian stands up and leaves, and then she tells him, "You're too far away." And then he, with magic, he makes the
Yeah.
the table shorter, and he's sitting right next to her. And she goes,
Yeah.
"You could have done this the whole time." And he goes, "My powers aren't what they used to be," or something like that. And I
Yeah.
thought that was funny. He had a sense of humor. That's what I liked about him. Yeah, what a good scene. Oh, and then solstice night. That was such a good part. The part when
Yeah.
she dresses up finally, because Feyre is a tomboy. Let's just say it now. She's a tomboy. She's a pants and shirt kind of girl. And I guess she started feeling finally really comfortable and in her skin, and she wanted to look pretty and sexy. It was obvious. She wore like a beautiful flowing purple dress, and like she put like flowers in her hair and all that stuff. And it was the festival where she finally had fairy wine for the first time. I think it was after that first glass she was already drunk.
Yeah. Oh yeah, drinking the wine. Oh no.
Oh, the scene where she goes up to the quartet of the musicians.
Yeah.
Oh, but there was such a sweet scene between her and Lucian too. I think her and Lucian danced for a bit.
Yeah. And then he came over and
Hmm.
did they go off somewhere and dance?
Yes, they did. I was just about
Yes,
to get
they
there.
did.
So she
Yeah.
goes up to the quartet dancing, her drunken dance, finally feeling free. That's what I loved about this scene, where she admits on paper in the book that she finally felt free. Like she didn't have to worry about anything. Worry about what she was going to eat next, where to go, what to hunt, if she had money, if everything was coming true for her. She finally found the comfort and the protection she wanted as a human. You know, as a human person, like, you just want to feel protected and safe because she lived in a world where humans didn't feel very safe. They were always in threat of dying. And living here at Tamlin's, Tamlin protected her from everything. Gave her paint, gave her chances to be her, to grow as a human and do what she liked to do. She liked to hunt. She liked to go out on walks. She loved to swim in the lake if she wanted to. She wanted to paint all day, and that's all she ever did, paint and, create work and art and all that stuff. And when she finally started dancing that night, she was free. And when she walked up to that quartet, the fiddler was Tamlin. I love that scene.
I forgot that he is the one playing the instrument.
Yeah, he was on the fiddle.
Yeah.
She walked up to him and she was drunk. So she was like, "Oh, he played the music so well." And when she looked at him, really looked at him, she was like, "Tamlin?" And then,
I forgot.
yeah, he was playing the fiddle. And he started playing the fiddle, and then he told her, "Dance, Feyre, dance." Like, like, be free. And
Yeah.
he loved watching her. That I love that scene where he
Yeah,
would
it was a
just
good
watch
one.
her dance and enjoy
That
herself.
sounded so creepy. I love that scene. The one where he just watched her.
Yeah, it's kind of creepy, but it's kind of sweet because, like, he's been watching her this whole time. He a freak.
Oh,
Yeah, he is a freak.
that was funny.
And then that's what led to the Will o' the Wisps night.
Yeah.
That's a really good scene too. He takes her and he walks her up to this that night, that same night right after the dancing. He takes her and he walks her up to this hill where it's really dark, and he tells her, "Wait for it." Pretty much, "Wait for it." And then, like, these balls of light come out of the forest, and there's just these beautiful fire lights just dancing around. And that's when our characters share their first kiss. Such a cute scene. And I think she said it. Oh, that scene was good. She said, let me see here. I wrote it down. I think it was chapter 25. I'm not going to find it real quick.
Yeah, it is chapter 25.
She says, oh, he takes her to the meadow to see the will-o'-wisp and asks her to dance. Tamlin kisses Feyre and they watch the sunrise together. And I think that's when she finally admits this is what happiness must feel like.
Yeah, it was
I
so cute.
That was such a sweet scene. Like, it really was, because they didn't do anything else. They just danced and kissed, and she finally
Yeah.
admitted that, "I think I know what happiness feels like." And she told him that. That's what I love about Feyre too. She's not afraid to say what she feels.
Yep.
I
I
love
love
that.
them. They
I
were
love
so
that.
cute.
Just adorable. Super cute. Um what made me laugh was the morning after that scene. Lucian goes to him because they stayed out all night until the sun. They came back home when the sun rose. And
Yes.
Tamlin goes,
And Lucien was like making fun of them and
"Yes."
stuff.
Lucian goes, "Where have
Yeah.
you guys been?" I think he says something like, "It must be nice to frolic around in the grass," or something like that, while he's
Yeah.
working and keeping the house together and shit. I thought that scene was great.
I loved it. That was so good. And then that's when like serious stuff. This is now where like the serious stuff begins.
Before we begin that part, do you mind taking like a 3-minute break?
Yes.
Yeah, grab some water so that we can prepare ourselves for the final act of the book.
Yeah. I
Okay.
need the restroom.
Yes. All right, guys, just give us like
Thank you everybody for hanging out.
Yes, thank you for all coming out. We're not done yet.
Yeah.
We're not done.
We're
We
definitely
still
not done yet.
we still have the best part of the book. Well, everything was really good, but this part, oh
Yeah.
man, you won't even believe it when we get there. All right, give us just a
So,
few minutes. We'll be right
3-minute
back.
break and then we'll be back.
You guys are awesome. Thank you, Lenny. BRB. Alrighty, guys, we're back. Thank you for the short wait.
Yep. Thanks for waiting, guys.
hmm So now we're heading on to the last part of the book. Well, I guess kind of the last part. It's the last act.
Yeah.
We talked about Cal and Mai. We talked about hi Lenny.
Hi, Lenny.
We talked about Fire Night. We talked about Tamlin and that blue. Okay, the
So
blue
there's something
fairy.
going on. Yeah.
Yeah, so the blue fairy, guys. Obviously, we got kind of like a glimpse in that scene that there is someone out there that cursed them and who's hurting the Fae. Right after that scene, I think they were in the garden talking, and something comes into the garden. But she can't see them. They're invisible, but she can hear them. So she hides in the bush near Tamlin, and something tells Tamlin that she's watching you. She's watching you, and she knows what you're doing, is what it says to Tamlin. And something about Tamlin having a heart of stone. And then Feyre questions it, but of course, he doesn't answer her. He tells her that he can't, he'll tell her the answers later, like what she's looking for. Um, then it comes to what scene happens right after that, Del?
I'm so sorry, Panda.
No, you're
My
good.
dog hit the button.
Oh.
So, yeah, I was temporarily kicked out for a second.
Oh, you're okay. You're okay.
I'm
She's
sorry.
about to say like, no, your time is with me, not with this
Yep.
person.
I literally powered off the PC and I pressed cancel. So
mhm.
I didn't do a full restart. She's
Mhm.
doing it again. Okay, get away from there. Sorry, sorry.
You're good. You're good.
Okay. Can you please repeat the last part you said?
Of course, the part when something comes into the garden and Tamlin hides Feyre in a bush, and Feyre overhears the conversation between Tamlin and this thing that she can't see because it's glamored, so she can't see what it is. And
Yes.
this thing tells Tamlin she knows what you're doing, she knows where you are, and she's coming for you.
Yes.
And then that's when we're like, oh shit,
Yes. Not good.
not good. What's coming for her? And I think the scene right after, Rysand shows up
Yes.
at
He
the
shows
at the
up.
manor while they're having lunch one day.
Yes.
And when Rysand appears, they hide Feyre. They glamour
Yes,
her
they have.
so that he can't see her.
Yeah.
And of course, Rysand's telling him, "We know what you're doing. Stop doing what you're doing, or she'll come for you." Pretty much
Yep.
threatening Tamlin and Lucian.
Yes.
And right before Rysand leaves, he sees that there's a third plate setting on the table.
Yep.
And he goes, "Who's your guest?" And they tell him that we sent that person away before you got here. And he doesn't believe him, obviously. And he unfurls the glamour that's over Feyre because he's powerful. He's
Yep.
very powerful. You can't fool him. So in doing so, Lucian says, "That's my betrothed," like hiding the fact of who she is.
Yes.
And Rysand tells him, "You can't play games with me. I know who she is and what you're doing. And if you're smart enough, you'll tell her to leave and she'll never come back." And at that moment, he uses his powers because Rysand has the power of the mind. And he starts taking over her mind. And that's when we first see Tamlin show his true weakness, which is Feyre. And he begs Rysand to stop hurting her, to let her go. I remember that scene. That scene was pretty powerful. I liked it.
Yep. And that's also where she gives the name of Claire Bedore.
Oh, that's right. Because
Yep.
Rysand asks her, "Who are
What her
you?"
name was.
Yeah, "Who are you? What's your name?" And Feyre, being a smart person, she doesn't give her own name. She gives her sister's friend's neighbor's name or something like that. Claire.
Yep.
And he
Now, if you
leaves.
remember too, this wasn't the first encounter that Ryzen and Farah had
Mm-hmm.
because they met during the.
Callan Mai.
Yep.
When he rescued her from being raped
So,
by those three guys.
yep.
Mm-hmm. And they had a good conversation between each other.
Yes.
She didn't know who he was. He was handsome, and he's a handsome man.
Oh, yeah, that's right. She also said that he was like the most handsome man
Yeah.
she's ever seen.
Yeah, I mean, come on. He's freaking handsome as hell. Like, look at this man. Hold on, wait. Let's adore this just for a little bit longer. He's fine.
He is fire.
He is so fire. I mean, I've got more. I mean, who would say no to this face? Hold on. Who would say no to this face? Come on. He's just beautiful. But anyways, back to the story.
I love that picture.
Isn't it beautiful?
You can just leave that one there.
I agree.
Just leave it there.
I'll leave it right there. Hold on. Let's have a black background because we gotta appreciate more of the face. Yeah. So that's Ryson, and she gives him Claire's name to protect her identity, obviously, and to protect her sister's identities because at this moment, I think Feyre realizes that he's working for this woman that keeps hurting people and probably cursed Tamlin and his court.
Yep. She's
Because
also introduced
yes, actually
because before
yes.
yes, because before he leaves he says that he'll see the trio
Mhm.
under the mountain and then he'll give Amaranthia
Amarantha.
Amarantha their regards and then he leaves.
So that's our enemy, Amarantha. And Lucian, I love Lucian. He brings out we find out in the story at that moment when they're having that argument about who Feyre is at lunch there. He tells him, "Get out of here, Amarantha's whore."
Yep.
And then we find out Ryson must be Amarantha's whore. Lackey, whatever you want to call him. So he's part of the evil crew. I mean, look how beautiful he is. He has to be evil.
Damn.
He has to be evil. I mean, he's gorgeous. But yeah, so the next part is kind of heartbreaking.
Yep.
It's kind of heartbreaking.
So later in that day,
Mhm.
Tamlin comes to Farrah's room and tells her that he's sending her home for her own protection.
Mm.
And at this point in the story, they have both developed feelings for one another.
Mhm.
You can tell that Tamlin's in love with her.
You can tell.
And you can tell that she's there, but not ready to express it completely.
Yep. She's scared.
Yeah.
And then
So,
on top of that, him telling her to go home kind of clams her up, I think.
yep. It makes her like put another wall up
Yeah.
to not want to express herself even more.
Mhm. And so the moment he puts her in that carriage to send her home, oh my god. Can I be real? I cried a bit in this scene.
You cried?
Just a little bit. Like I got a little just a little bit. Like my eyes got watery cuz
No.
you kind of knew that he was sending her home for good.
Yeah.
Cuz of the way that he acted. Like he kind of avoided her all day. And then that morning they dressed her up and they literally like took everything that she owned in that room that she made home for the months that she was there and put it on the carriage. They didn't leave anything behind. So she kind of
Yeah.
knew this was goodbye for good.
But before she leaves, they do have an intimate moment together.
Oh, that's right. They finally did it.
Yes.
They
And
finally did it. She let go.
unfortunately, though, pardon?
She let go. She wanted him. She was like, before I leave,
Yeah.
you're gonna put that thing in me.
God, Panda. Don't get so vulgar.
Hey, we read smut. We're gonna be reading quite a lot of smut in
Yeah,
this.
the story was going like, so like sweet and cute, and then Panda's like, I'm just gonna spread them. Let's go. Let, let me in.
But like, come on, let her have that. You know how much sexual tension was like driven between both of them throughout like
I know. It was a really good scene, but it was also really sad because like I remember she thought that she heard that he whispered that he loved her.
before she fell asleep, yeah.
Yeah, and then when she woke up, like he wasn't there.
They had the most raunchiest sex too.
They did. It
God,
was
it
steamy.
was fucking good. I love that scene.
Yeah.
I think she took off her clothes and opened up her legs to let him see everything.
Yeah.
That scene was
She did not
raunchy.
she did not hold back.
Nah, she was like, if this is gonna be the last time you see me, you're gonna fucking regret the fuck out of it. I love that part. She like,
Yeah.
didn't she have like a, did she shower or something? And then she took off, like she just let the towel fall. And then
I can't
she,
really remember.
I think she let the towel fall. And then she sat on the bed. And then she like opened up her legs so that he could see all of her. That's what it said in the thing.
Yeah.
And he just attacked her. I mean, it
And it
was
wasn't like the only time too. Like they made love throughout like the
through
night.
the whole night. And
Yeah.
right before she fell asleep, I remember reading, it was like the last line. It said, dot, 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 I love you. I thought I heard him say.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then that carriage scene.
And that's where like one of the cutest quotes come in.
Do you
He
have
was
it?
like, I love you, he whispered, and kissed my brow, thorns and all.
I love that part. Yes.
Yeah.
Because she's spicy. Like,
Yeah.
she always has a clever comeback. Always. Like, every time you talk to her. And she might not mean it, like, hatred wise, but she always did it because she was just a spicy person. And
Yeah.
that quote's beautiful. Thank you for saying that. I got goosebumps. I love you.
You're welcome.
Thorns and all. Such a good scene.
It was. It was really good.
I was so sad when she got in that carriage, though. That's why I was the most sad because of that
Yeah,
scene.
it was really sad. And then like, she's living in this luxury life now,
Mhm.
and she was starting to feel, I guess, somewhat safe.
Oh no, she
But
she felt safe. I know she did, except for the part when she realized Amarantha was an issue.
yeah. And then like she goes home to go see her family who,
Who's
you
been
know,
living well off actually, because Tamlin
yeah,
promised to
cuz
take care of
like
his of her family.
yeah, she finds out that he's given them all this money and basically her dad's job back.
But wait, but in the
Because what we didn't
carriage.
explain is that he lost everything
Mhm.
in shipments.
Mhm.
Remember going over the water
In the seas, yeah.
in the seas? Yeah, and like he got all of it back
Mhm.
and was able to start, making a living again.
But in the carriage, that part when he puts her in the carriage and they have like that sweet moment where I think he was holding her hand or something, or like
Yeah,
holding on to her, and he didn't want to let go because it said in the book that he didn't let go until he couldn't reach for her no more.
yeah,
And the part when he puts her in and he looks into her eyes and he says, I love you, she chokes up and she doesn't know what to say.
yeah,
And then right before their hands can't hold on to each other because the carriage is going, he says it again and she doesn't say it back.
yeah. And at this point, you know that for the curse to break, she needs to have the same feelings.
Mhm.
And it never ended up happening with her, being told to leave.
Yeah. But she says it in the book, the reason while he's saying that I love you, and he says it again in the book while you're reading that part, she says, "But you're throwing me away."
Yeah.
How can I say it back when you're making me go away? Because the thing about Feyre is she's a fighter, and she was willing to stay there and fight with him even though she's human. She was willing to face this evil, but he didn't want that to happen to her. He knows there's no fucking way that Feyre can fucking withstand what was gonna happen if she stayed.
Yeah.
She would have not lived through that. They're way too powerful. Their skin is made of a different material. Like their bones are made of a different material. She would just be crushed within seconds. So he had to send her away. And then we got to talk about when she gets back home. Nothing eventful happens whatsoever. Just Nesta being a
No.
bitch, Elaine gardening, and her father
Yeah.
whittling.
Yep. And they throw her a ball,
Mm-hmm.
to honor her being back. But she ends up remembering certain things that were said to her, like an advice from,
Mm-hmm.
what was it? The swirl? How do
The
you pronounce
cereal.
it? Thank you.
The
They
cereal.
had when she had captured them way back in the beginning of the book, the advice that she gave her was to stay with the High Lord.
A dog ball? What do you mean?
Oh, like a ball.
A dog ball? No,
A
no.
dog
They
ball.
threw a
They
dog
threw
ball.
her a ball. I love that, Badger. It's so funny.
He's so literal. Fetch. I mean, you might as well call it that way. They treat her like shit in the first
Yeah,
place.
they
Here, go
treat
fetch.
her like a dog.
They treat her like a dog. So yeah, the cereal tells her to stay with Tamlin. Stay near
So
him.
so she starts like questioning, coming back and stuff like that. And
Then she sees her neighbor's house.
yes.
Oof.
And
Claire.
not good.
Not at all. So she had
No.
given Rysand the name of her neighbor, Claire. And when she
Yeah.
gets there, the house has been torn to shreds, burned to there's no house there anymore. And she finds out that Claire's family was murdered on site, and Claire has never been seen ever again. And then that's the moment she knows she needs to go back. Because she gave Rysand Claire's name, but Tamlin knows her real name. Not like Tamlin would give it to them, but she knew at that moment she had to go. They're looking for her. She needs to leave. She needs to protect her family. She needs to go find Tamlin. And she goes back up over the wall.
Yep, she goes back.
Mm-hmm. And when she gets to Springcourt, was not what she remembered.
Yep.
The place is trashed.
Everybody's gone.
Mm-hmm. Blood
Besides
everywhere.
Alice.
Yeah, blood everywhere.
She's still there.
The the um the dining room where they used to eat, everything destroyed. The tables cut in half. The chairs are thrown. There's blood, but no bodies though. I thought that was strange. And then Alice breaks it to her. Do you want to say it or do I?
Would you mind
Of course.
telling it? Thank you.
Alice tells her the truth, and we find out for the first time what all this has been about. Alice tells her that this curse was put upon the Springcourt by Amarantha. Alice tells her the reason why she's there and that the treaty was never real. That this curse needed Tamlin because Amarantha was in love with Tamlin, but Tamlin didn't want to return her feelings. So Amarantha curses him and the court to forever be under her power. So she steals their power and puts the masks on them permanently. And the only way to break the curse is for him to fall in love with a human, which would never happen because he would have he I don't think he wanted to have anything to do with humans. So she cursed him in the worst way possible. In 50 years, if you do not fall in love with a human and them love you back, your curse will be forever in stone. So, of course, we find out that the curse is about to become set in stone. It's been exactly 49 years, almost 50, because she spent a bit of time there. And everything falls into place. She realizes that that wolf that she killed that day by her home was sent there by Tamlin. He was sending his own soldiers, shapeshifted as wolves, for someone to kill them so that he can pretend that the treaty would bring them to Spring Court, so that he can fall in love with a human, or make the human fall in love with them, in order for the curse to be broken. Mind blown. At when I read that part, I felt like Feyre. I felt like the world fell from beneath my feet.
Yeah.
This whole time, everything was a setup. But she loves.
That's where I started to question his feelings for her,
Yeah.
whether they were genuine.
I kind of felt the same way, but I knew that they were genuine. I knew that they were genuine. I really did. At first, they weren't, though. I think that when it first became genuine was at Star Lake.
Star Lake. Yeah.
I think that's when it first became genuine because for him to lift the glamour from her, that means he trusted her enough to see what he sees.
Yeah.
And that he knew she wouldn't run away. You get me?
Yeah, I do.
So, what a scene. And even though Alice told her everything, that all of it was not a lie, but it was all set up, Feyre, being a bad bitch and loyal and loving, said, I have to go save Tamlin. I have to go save him." Because Amarantha had taken him and Lucian to Under the Mountain, which that place is a nightmare.
Yeah, that place is a nightmare.
So Alice begs her not to go and tries to get her to change her mind and just go home because there's nothing you could do. There's no way you can fight against Amarantha. Amarantha was the most powerful fae in all of the land because she had stolen all the High Lord's powers. So she was unstoppable. But of course, Feyre being Feyre, true to her heart, stubborn as she is, I'm gonna go get him back. So she begs Alice to take her to Under the Mountain. And she goes. Under the Mountain. Terrible, scary. It's claustrophobic and dank and dark and terrible. As soon as she walks under the mountain, they capture her and bring her to Amarantha's feet in the throne room, which is literally inside a mountain where no light, nothing can get in. It's just dark and scary, and it sounds horrible. It sounds terrible to me. And then we meet Amarantha for the first time, this wicked, cruel person who didn't have any specific beauty to her. She just looked regal and terrifying. And next to her on the throne is Tamlin sitting in his own throne. And we say, what the fuck is happening right now?
Yeah, it was really bad.
It was a crazy scene.
And that's where Freya also discovers that Claire, the name that she had given, was hung up on the wall, dead. And she was told how she was tortured and everything. And that's when a whole new thing starts with what she's going to do now to try and save Tamlin. So Amaranthia kind of gives her like a deal of what she can do to save Tamlin. And she gives her a little riddle that she has to try and solve. And unfortunately, she couldn't think at the time of what the answer to the riddle could be. So she makes another deal with her for her to do 3 trials. And as she, leads up to those days, she's kept in a cell. In a dark cell all by herself. She's given like stale, moldy food and stuff to eat and drink while she waits it out. So her time down there is her just thinking of what's going to be coming up against her and how she's going to be able to, solve this riddle.
I love that riddle.
Yeah, the riddle I could not figure out.
I actually figured it out.
You figured it out? Yeah,
Yeah.
I couldn't. I don't know if it's just I was more interested in hearing about the trials because I like that kind of stuff.
Mhm. I love the
That started making me think of like Hunger Games.
the trials were really good. I was terrified for her. I was so scared because it was so bad. Do you want me to say the riddle?
Yes, please. I was trying to find it and I couldn't find it.
I got you. So, she obviously gives her the option to answer. If she answers this riddle, she she can bypass everything and she could walk home with Tamlin
And his and
and
everybody.
everybody. She said that
And
she
everybody from Spring Court would be
curse
free to
broken,
go.
free to go.
Yeah.
Yeah. So she tells her this riddle. If you can answer this riddle any time during any of the trials, you can leave. So, there are those who seek me a lifetime, but never we meet, and those I kiss, but who trample me beneath ungrateful feet. At times I seem to favor the clever and the fair, but I bless all those who are brave enough to dare. By large, my ministrations are soft-handed and sweet, but scorned I become a difficult beast to defeat. For though each of my strikes lands a powerful blow, when I kill, I do it slow. I figured it out right away. I was
Figured
in,
it right away.
I was in between two words.
I probably just thought too much into it, in all honesty.
Well, the thing about riddles, to figure out riddles, is you have to think of the person that's doing the riddle in the first place.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to think about them as a person, and then you have to kind of piece together what it's saying. So at first, I thought it was hope because it
Okay.
makes sense.
Yeah, it does make sense.
Because she's facing something that there's no hope for. So I was thinking she's playing coy and she wants to use the word that that you wouldn't think of, hope.
Yeah.
But then I read it again, and the first thing I thought of, well, I'm not going to even answer that because I want to finish the trials first, and then we'll answer it.
Okay.
So yeah, that was a really good riddle. And the trials began.
Oh, also before that, I remember something about before I think she gave her the riddle and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Wasn't it talked about that she wasn't able to read and write?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
she like laughed at her
Mm-hmm. She made
because
fun of
she
her.
knew that the riddle would be difficult for her since she wasn't like very educated.
She said it though. She said it was fucking difficult. I mean, she didn't
Yeah.
figure it out.
Yeah.
She couldn't answer her.
So then she was locked in the cell for 2 days.
Oh my god.
She focused on the riddle. And
She came up bare pretty much with nothing.
yeah. And then it was like the full I remember like she said that her first trial will be when the full moon rises.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's, it came up and it was time for her to do her trial.
Oh, that first trial.
The first trial,
terrifying.
That was crazy.
I lo-
First off.
it was terrifying, but I'm glad that Amarantha chose that trial because we knew that she would survive it because
Yeah.
she goes to
She's a
her.
hunter.
Yes, I love that. Amarantha goes, I heard you like to hunt things, so I've given you something to hunt. And then she throws her into the pit.
Yeah.
Terrifying. We get to see the Midgard worm for the first time. It's this crazy, big, disgusting worm thing, and it's coming to kill her.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. And our Feyre, our badass bitch, realizes that it can't see. It can only hear. So she covers herself in mud and dirt and then uses the bones of past people that were thrown in there to create like a trap by breaking them in half and sticking them out the ground. Remember?
Yes.
Oh, I love how she gets that fucking worm.
I do too. I remember like everybody, like she could hear everybody like talking about her.
About how she's gonna fail. They were
And
all
now she's
betting
gonna
against
fail and
her.
all this stuff. Like they're just so fucking evil, all of them.
They were betting against her that
Yeah.
she wouldn't make it.
And like the only one that was like really rooting her on was Ryzen.
I fucking love that part when oh my god, let's so she wins obviously. She gets the worm to chase after her and then using like her hunting skills and her praying skills, you know, cuz a hunter has to be quiet and silent and run when they need to. She ran and she tricked the worm to run into the trap and kills itself on the bone-like spears sticking from the ground.
Yeah.
And that's when she wins. And I love the scene when she grabs one of the bones and she starts using them to like climb out, like kind of like you know how climbers use those little things to like climb out or whatever. She
Yeah.
starts climbing out and then when she gets to the top, she gets the bone full of mud and she throws it at Amarantha's feet. And it hits the
Yeah.
ground and all that mud drops like right onto that beautiful red dress that she has,
Yeah.
kind of like a fuck you, like bitch, I did it. Give me the next one. Like I love that
Yeah. I
scene.
love that part too. It's so good.
It was so good. And I can't remember exactly what she said, but
Yeah, I can't remember exactly either.
I can't remember exactly what she said. I think Amarantha told her, "Well done. Now take
Yeah.
her," or something like that. And she
Yeah,
goes,
and then she was thrown back into her cell where like
mhm.
her wounds started to become infected.
Yeah, because I think she had a dislocated shoulder, a broken arm.
Yeah, because she cut her hand
Yeah, breaking
to
all those
lure the
bones.
worm,
Mhm.
right? Because like she put her blood somewhere for, it would go after her, right?
Yeah.
So like it got infected and stuff.
Mhm.
And during her time in there, like in the cell and stuff, like every time she was injured, sometimes Lucian would show up
To help her.
to heal her.
Mhm.
But he wasn't very strong and
Mm-mm.
stuff. And he also encountered his own issues too. Like he was badly beaten at one point for
Trying to help her.
something that, yeah, like he
Mhm.
was punished. But
S-
then
So she waited.
Ryzen,
She waited and he didn't show.
yeah,
And
he didn't come.
and then
For some reason, Ryzen was always coming to her rescue.
mhm.
At that point, he had put this tattoo on her arm, and it was his way of like keeping in contact with her.
Mhm.
And he would go and heal her in
He
between the trials and stuff.
he made a bet with her.
Yeah,
And the thing about Faye is whenever you make a deal, it's like a magic deal.
it's like set in stone.
Yes. And the reason why it's done that way is if someone breaks this deal, it comes to claim your life or does something worse, you know? So he made a deal with her that because we kind of find out the truth.
Yeah,
Ryson wants to overthrow Amarantha
yeah,
and that he's been playing the fool this whole time to try to find a way out. you know? So when he finds that she's been wounded, he's like, this is my chance. I need to make a deal with her cuz she survived. She's a human. She survived a Midgard worm. That thing was huge. And she did it. So he makes this deal with her. And then from this point on, he kind of starts using her.
Yes.
In Feyre's mind, the whole time, she thinks he's parading her around like his whore. He would supply her with wine, get her really drunk, and make her dance on him the whole time in front of Amarantha. He would get her painted up and thrown into this like silky see-through dress. And the whole time she can't stand the embarrassment of what's being done to her. She's being treated like an animal. Like she's no better than anything, no better than dirt. And she goes through hell down there. That has to be the worst experience a human can
It,
go through.
I agree. And we didn't really get to know exactly what was going on either,
No.
since the story was from Farah's point of view.
Yeah. All we
So,
can go is go all we know is what she was going through, the pain, and
yeah.
she was being
And then, like, not
humiliated.
knowing what happened, like, during that time frame.
She was being humiliated,
Yeah.
painted up, dressed up like some sort of whore, and then paraded in front of all these other fae who'd laugh at her. She'd get she'd get drunk and they'd force her to dance on Rise and just act a fool, I guess. And she just let it happen because she'd rather not remember. And I don't blame her. Thinking that you're not going to live the next day, I'd want to be intoxicated too. Please let me black out. I don't want to remember any of this. And
The
then we.
part that sucked for me
Hmm.
during that whole, like, thing is that I never understood why Tamlin let it go that far.
Oh, let's. Oh, man.
And, like, why he never came to, like, help her. Like, why he never risked anything.
I just
That
hate.
drives me
I
crazy.
just hated the fact that every time she'd have to go to the throne room dressed up like that, and she'd look at him with like these eyes of save me or help me or look at me or do anything, he would never meet her eyes.
Yeah. He would never look at her. Even when she would, like, approach up front and be right there, he never looked at her.
The whole time in the book, I'm telling myself it's because he doesn't want Amarantha to see that he loves her so she wouldn't be tortured more.
Yeah.
But like with life, with impending doom, I think that if I was Tamlin, I'd break and I'd try to look at her or,
Yeah, for sure.
what a
I don't know.
moment.
It irks me that he didn't try.
Yeah. I was very sad too. I was waiting every chapter. Every chapter I waited to see if he'd do something, try to help her escape, try to do something, but he didn't do anything. The only one that would help her was Lucian and Ryson. Crazy, right?
Yeah, it is
It's
crazy.
crazy to me that the only ones that would help her would be the two people that you didn't think would help her. And she was stuck. It was terrible to see Feyre like that.
Yeah.
It was very sad.
And then after we get through that part, it is time for her second trial.
Mm.
Now, this trial made me really, really nervous
Oh,
because
the
I
one.
really didn't think it was going to end how it did.
Yeah.
So, her second trial involved of her being lowered into a pit surrounded by 3 walls and an iron gate, with Lucian chained on the floor on the other side.
Mhm.
And of course, him being chained on the other side, there were 2 spike gates that would start moving lower and lower.
Towards both of them.
Yeah, and it was gonna obviously crush them to kill them.
Impale them, then crush them.
Yeah, impale them and then crush them. Thank you.
Painful.
And to top it all off, for her to be able to, complete this challenge, it involved words. What she knows that she's not able to read or write.
Amaranth's such a bitch.
Yeah.
She did that shit on
So,
purpose. She was like, this bitch
yeah,
can't
of
read or
course.
write. I'm gonna make sure. Oh, but keep going. Tell me more. I love the part. I want you to say it because I can't contain myself.
Sorry, guys. So she can only make out a few of the words. Lucian's begging her to make a choice because,
He's
she's
about to get
panicking.
crushed. Poor
What?
Lucy. He's about to get
Yeah, like
crushed.
he's about to get
Poor
crushed.
Lucian. He
She
was
doesn't
freaking
know.
out. I love that
Yeah.
part when he's like, just pick one!
Yeah, like he's just telling her to take the chances because either way, like, they're gonna die. So he's freaking out, she's freaking out. So she decides to pull the third one and the spikes stop. So luckily, her instincts were correct.
Well, it wasn't her instincts.
It wasn't? Oh, that's
No.
right. Rise told her.
She went to pick the second choice because there's three choices in front of her and she had to choose
Yeah,
one.
you're right. I completely forgot.
No, it's fine. That's what we're here for each other. So, there's three choices in front of her and she goes to pick number 2 because I love what she thinks. She's so simple and so cute. She's like, I'm thinking about me and Tamlin. Me and Tamlin. Me and Tamlin is 2, so the answer must be 2. So she goes to pick 2, and then her arm starts burning. And it's her arm with the tattoo that Rice had to imprint on
Right.
her with the deal that they made. And then she goes to try to reach for it again, and it starts burning, burning, burning. And she's like, okay, that's weird. So she chooses number 1, and it starts burning, burning, burning. And she's like, what? Every time and then she goes over, she hovers over 3, and it doesn't hurt. And so she presses it. And then at the last
Right.
second, it stops.
It stops. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
She falls to her knees.
Mm-hmm. She is in heat.
Everybody's cheering.
I guess so. Poor girl, bro. Let her. She's dying. She's like, it's either die or die again. It's
Yeah.
let her have her
Fucking
moment.
fucking horrible.
Yeah, but it's
But at that
funny.
point, she's yeah.
Mhm.
After all that, she's just sent back to her cell,
To await the
there
next
to
trial.
wait. Yep, to wait.
Mhm.
And that's when a big moment comes where she realizes that Ryzen's the reason why she's still
Mhm.
alive.
Yep.
And yeah, she starts kind of doesn't still like him, but appreciates
She
him.
starts to appreciate him. Yeah,
Yeah.
because at that moment she starts realizing that he's really trying to help her. And maybe it's for his own devices, maybe it's for his own good. Like he's only thinking of himself, but she knows that that's how she'll win. And she'll take anything she can get.
Yep.
I would too. I mean, it's an advantage. You can't
Yep.
let go of an advantage. And he admits to her that he was the only one that bet for, not against her, but for her that she would win Worm. And I love how he says it to her. You made me a lot of money, Feyre. You made me a lot of money. I knew you could do it. You made me a lot of money. I love that part. And they exchange some pretty heartful stuff before that third trial, the last trial, and
Yeah.
it's nice. I really really like what he says to her because you start to feel bad for him. Like I think he's a prisoner himself. He's Amarantha's slave as well, and he
Yep.
just wants to be free. Because you find out he's a High Lord,
Yep.
the High Lord of the Night Court. And he was very powerful once too, and she took everything. She took everything from everyone. So you start to feel bad for them. And it starts to show that Feyre feels pity for, not pity, but she feels bad for everybody that's stuck there. They're not there because they want to be there. They're there because she forced them to be there. you know?
Yep.
So then the third trial comes around, and this one's going to be bad, and everybody knows it.
Yep.
I think Lucian and even Ryson weren't able to see her. And then the night before the trial happens, like they have that party, that festival that at night,
Yep.
and I think at that moment Feyre realizes she's gonna die, and she kind of gives up, and it shows because she looks at Tamlin and he's not there, and suddenly he passes by her and turns around and looks at her very subtly, and he kind of makes like this movement with his head, like a jerk, like come this way, and he goes into like a dark alley room kind of thing, like a hallway. She waits a little bit and then she follows him. And as soon as they get in there, he starts trying to ravage her. Like he starts making out with her, kissing her, and she's all for it. She's wrapping her legs around him. Like she knows what's coming. She knows she's gonna die. So she wants whatever she can get from him, and that's what he
That
gives her.
part irritated me.
I didn't mind it.
I don't know. I was disappointed. The one time that, he makes any type of communication with her, and that's what it was over.
He just wanted to fuck.
Yep. It just makes me sad because, like, when you actually read the story and you read, like, what she goes through after, the trials and stuff like that, and how she's almost on her deathbed at one point because of how, like, sick she was. And, not even Lucian could get to her because he was being tortured
Mhm.
too. And, like, Tamlin didn't try risking himself
To save her.
to save her. It
Knowing
just bothers me.
knowing that it was known that this final trial was going to be impossible because Amarantha doesn't want her to win.
Yeah.
And of course, Rise finds them,
Yes.
and Rise tells them, "Isn't this nice? This is what you guys are doing the night before the trial. If Amarantha catches you guys, we will have no chance of winning." And so he tells Tamlin to go away, and Tamlin walks away. And then, of course, Rise comes up to her angry and tells her, "How stupid are you? You can't be this stupid. Why would you do this? If Amarantha caught you, you guys would be dead right away." And, of course,
She walks in.
Amarantha comes in, and Rise, kind of like a savior maneuver, kisses her, trying to hide what had just happened. Hide Tamlin from being there, because Tamlin walked away just in time, but, you know,
Yep. It was definitely a close call.
it was definitely a close call. Rise to the rescue, bro. So that happens, and then Rise makes her go back into her cell. And then we've got trial 3. Trial 3 was. That one was rough.
Yeah, that one was rough. I agree.
That one was really rough.
It was sad.
I hate trial 3 was difficult. It was pretty amazing. Like she comes to the throne room. Feyre comes to the throne room and realizes, um this is it. I'm probably going to die here. And when she gets there, um Amarantha tells her, "For this trial, you're going to do what I say and nothing else. And if you do these 3 things I tell you, then you'll be set free and everyone will be set free." So she places 3 people in front of her, bagged, like you can't see their faces. She hands her a dagger and says, "You have to kill each one of them." So the first person, bag goes up. It's a boy. Well, a young Fey boy, and he's crying and begging to not die. Feyre looks down at the dagger, and you see, like, she speaks about, like, this is terrible. I can't do this. I can't kill someone like this. But she looks around and notices all these faces, all these people she's gonna let down, the love of her life sitting on that throne, and how she promised that she'd do whatever she could to release this curse. And she kills him. And it's gruesome. Gruesome. Like, the details of the knife sliding in, and it's just so vivid. You feel every moment of it. Kills that young boy. Takes the knife. Second person, it's a girl. And instead of begging for her life, she prays. Because she knows that she needs to do this to save her people. So she prays and prays. And Feyre feels even worse about this one because she knows she's accepted her fate and that she's sacrificing herself. She's letting Feyre kill her so that her people can be saved. Because they know this is how the curse will be broken. Sticks that knife in her. Kills her. Then the third person. The bag goes up. How did you feel about that third bag?
That third bag surprised me.
I
What
didn't
about you?
I didn't see that one coming.
I did not see it coming either. I was like, this fucking lady is a
She's
bitch.
a fucking
I was
bitch.
so angry because I was like, 'cause of course, like, I didn't know how the book was going to end or what was going to happen, right?
Mhm.
And I was just like, there's no way all of that, and this is how it's gonna be.
Mhm. It was
We're gonna tell you. We're gonna tell you.
I'm
We're
I'm
gonna tell
I'm
you.
looking for the picture right now, so give me 1 second. I have
Yeah,
I
it
have a
just
picture.
I was sick. Like, this part made me feel sick to my stomach
Yep.
because, like, the idea of her having to take two innocent lives
Mhm.
and then to see who the third was, I was like, oh my god.
It was heartbreaking to see who it was.
Not what I was expecting.
Oh, I
And
know
I
I
was just
have
like,
it.
at that point, I was like, how is she gonna, like, get around this? So, I don't know. I don't
Oh,
want to say anymore until Panda finds the
I found
picture.
it. I found it.
Okay, perfect.
It's Tamlin.
Yeah. The
Yep.
third one
It's
was
Tamlin.
Tamlin.
And at that moment she paused. She froze cuz she looked straight towards the throne, and it was a Tamlin, but it wasn't really him. And the
Yeah.
spell came off over him, and it was the Ator, which is one of the demons that she commands, or one of the fays that she commands. The whole time, I think that thing that was sitting on the was of one of the Ator.
Okay.
I think that's what I want to give to that. Okay, so she looks at Amarantha and she tells Amarantha, "How can you promise me that we'll be free if you want me to kill the person I'm trying to free?" And Amarantha, being a sly little snake, goes, "You never said
Yeah.
alive."
Yeah. When I read that, I was like, you've got to be fucking kidding me.
For real, I'm like, how the
I
fuck is she gonna get
freaked
this
the
one
fuck
out?
out.
Oh my god,
I was so angry. Like, oh my god.
I
There's
couldn't.
nothing worse than investing so much time and feelings into a
Mhm.
book and to get, like, an ending like that.
Yep.
Like, the devastation.
Yeah. It was, wow, that moment. I didn't have words. I didn't know what she
Yeah.
was going to do. I didn't know. I think it was like 3 or 4 in the morning when I read this chapter. I was like, I had like this cold sweat. I had suddenly so much adrenaline. I was like, "Oh, I got to know." So, at that moment, Feyre digs through her heart and tells herself, "What do I do? Do I Can she just bite him and not shiv my my Thor? No, she has to stab them. Amarantha was completely explicit in saying you must pierce their heart. Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
So Feyre starts digging through her mind and starts questioning, what do I do, looking at Tamlin's eyes, and Tamlin would just had this look of defeat in his eyes, like he just wanted this to end. He just didn't care anymore. He didn't say anything up to her, right? I don't think he said anything to her.
No.
No. And so a memory came into her mind. And I didn't mention it while we were doing this review because I kind of wanted it to be a surprise. But
Yeah.
there were two instances in the book where Lucian and the Ator mentioned to Tamlin, "You have a heart of stone," because they kept on saying that he couldn't fall in love with her.
Yeah.
So throughout the book, you say, "Why do they keep saying that?" So she stabs
You
him.
want to know something though?
Mm.
I never caught on to that
Oh,
until I read this part.
yeah. So she stabs him through the
Yeah.
heart. And as her blade goes in, she feels a thunk. And she realizes that it was true, what they had been saying this whole time. The curse had turned his heart to stone. So
Yep.
she couldn't pierce his heart. What a good scene.
It was
What
really,
a
really
good
good.
scene. The fact that she trusted her instincts and she let everything up to whatever powers may be, and she did that just to free them. And as soon as she did that, Amarantha's face went white.
Yeah.
And suddenly, Tamlin, Rice, everybody felt the power return to them. And in that moment, Amarantha, that fucking bitch, went back on her word and started hurting and torturing Pharaoh with her power.
Yep.
Snapping her bones, ripping apart her insides. Pharaoh was being
She was being
killed.
murdered.
She was being
Yeah.
murdered. And as she felt the
And she
bones,
could feel everything happening to her.
she felt the bones break in her body. She felt her organs being torn apart inside. Like it
Yeah, like
was,
she could feel being like beat.
yeah. She was being ripped apart.
And Tamlin was like yelling for her to stop and stuff like that,
hmm
but she just
She just kept
she just
going.
kept going at it.
But the thing was, is the curse wasn't broken yet because she couldn't pierce his heart.
No.
She couldn't pierce his heart. So at that moment, while all that's happening, Tamlin's begging Amarantha to stop, begging her to stop. Please stop, don't hurt her. And Rise, something snaps in him and he realizes this is his moment. He grabs the nearest knife and he tries to kill Amarantha, and Amarantha uses her power and pushes him against the wall and it breaks stone, and he gets up and he tries again, and she just bullies him back, and no one's strong enough to defeat her. No one's strong enough to stop her. And in that one moment, while Feyre is watching the one she loves begging to release her from death, and Rise trying to help her, the one person she didn't think would ever freaking help her. Well, he did help her, but would sacrifice himself to try to defeat Amarantha so that she could survive. She thinks of the riddle again. And she finds the answer. She looks at Amarantha. Love. The answer is love. And then she looks at Tamlin and says, I love you. And at that minute, Amarantha snaps her neck and she dies. What a moment.
Yeah, that part was so intense.
What a moment. God. I read that chapter over once that was done because I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it. She, the main character, is dead. And in that chapter, it was pretty good. I love that scene. Tamlin, enraged, and having his power back, because once she answered the riddle, remember they had bets, they did deals, and a deal is word, like it's solid, it's stone.
Yeah.
And Amarantha said, I promise to do it as long as you answer the riddle. And at that moment when she answered the riddle, everybody's power returned. And Tamlin turned into a beast, grabbed Amarantha by the neck, threw her against the stone wall, and ripped her throat out, and then pierced her heart with his talons or whatever he had. And Amarantha was no more. But as Tamlin came back to her body, she was dead. And it's all through her point of view. So she said that the moment she died, all she saw was darkness.
But then she
Darkness.
she also was able to watch everything too.
Mm-hmm.
Because she
Suddenly,
watched it through Risen's
Rise's
eyes.
eyes. Yes, because
Yeah.
of the deal that she had with him, she was able to see what was being done through Rise's eyes.
Yeah.
Do you want to say the next part?
As you can see from like the picture, they're all standing around her and there's light there. Tamlin pretty much
Bet.
begs everybody to help him save her. So all the High Lords come over after and start putting light into Freya's body
A piece of
to,
them. Hmm.
yeah, and it resurrects her. But she doesn't come back as being human, she comes back as being a High Fae.
Hmm.
And yeah,
Hmm.
Tamlin ends up telling her again that he loves her and puts his hand on her chest, and she
Mm.
comes back.
And it's just a nice moment too. All that she did for them. All
Yeah,
the High Lords gave them a piece of
yeah,
their
she got a
power.
piece from every single one of
Because she
them.
released all of them from a 50-year curse.
Like she said that like she all of a sudden felt like she was swimming
Hmm.
for the surface. She grasped for air and she felt like she realized she wasn't dead and her skin was glowing.
Yep. What a good book. Oh my god.
And she wakes up to Tamlin like his mask not being on anymore.
Oh yes, let's
So
talk
she
about
pretty
that.
much like, wakes up being like a new person and then also seeing him for the
Finally.
first time.
And it was just such a romantic moment.
It was.
Ah,
It brings
finally.
it it brings a tear to your eye.
Yes, it does. And
Ugh,
what a good scene.
it was really
Mhm.
good. And then she puts her hand on his chest and like for the first time she can feel his heartbeat because now the curse is broken.
Mhm. Cuz
So
she couldn't feel it before when they were having
yeah,
sex
and
for the
that
first
like I
time.
said, that was something that like I never caught on to.
Mhm.
So
She says it when they're having sex for the first time that she couldn't feel his heartbeat.
yeah, but I didn't really, like when they were having sex, like that's not what I was like.
I don't blame you. I don't blame you.
There's a lot of other stuff going on that was a
Yeah.
lot more better to imagine than Tamlin's heart not fucking beating.
Yeah.
We're not
We're
nasty.
not nasty, bro. Come on, man. Legolas
We're
and
just
the
not
Witcher have a
ashamed to say
child.
we like what we like.
Yeah, he's gorgeous, bro. He's freaking
He
beautiful.
is. Like, I don't know who drew him, but he is. He's stunning.
He really is. Look at this man, this myth, this legend.
Like, he is beautiful.
He really is.
Oh, okay, Panda, calm down. She's pulling out the fucking.
I'm pulling out the big guns now. I was waiting for
Yeah, she is.
these.
Look at that. Look at him.
Hmm.
Jesus.
Just enjoy it, okay? Just enjoy.
Jesus Christ.
Enjoy, guys. Enjoy.
His face looks like Zac Efron.
Zach, that's
Oh my god,
now I
you're
can't.
so right.
Now I
I
can't not
just
see
went.
it.
I do. I see it. I
Okay,
definitely
let's put
see
the one
it.
I like. I like this one.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, I like that one.
So pretty much that
I
happens.
like the one. I like the one with he's with Freya.
Oh, yeah, this one. This one. This one.
Yeah, I love that
There's
one.
one final scene though. Y'all have a picture of
Why?
me, Tipo.
Damn, Debo.
Yeah,
Damn,
it's
Debo, when you coming to Canada, bro?
plane ticket bought. But yeah, there's one final scene. One final scene that I want to talk about before we.
Damn, she rates you a lot higher.
Oh my god. Badger.
God, Badger, you just made me choke, bro. I'm sick. Ugh, you guys
one
are killing me
one
over
final
here.
scene that I do want to talk about
Oh,
before
yes. Go
before
ahead,
we finish.
Panda.
So, after she's made, you know, Tamlin goes off to fix the quartz because every now there's, now you guys got to pick up the pieces and put back together 50 years of slavery, right?
Yep.
So she walks out of the mountain into like a range, right? It's still under the mountain, the area, but she finally finds a balcony. And she's just watching and trying to feel with her new body. And Rise comes by. And he tells her, pretty much he just sums up, thank you for helping us. And I never doubted you, pretty much. And Feyre hurt because she didn't want to become high elf. I know she didn't. She didn't want to become something else. I think she was okay with dying at that point. She did as much as she could. Um, she tells um, she tells him something, and he replies one of my favorite fucking quotes in that book. What does he say to her? He says, "Be glad of your human heart, Feyre. Pity those who don't feel anything at all." I loved that quote. It just
I
was
did
so
too.
good because he's right. She was the only one that risked everything. A fucking human that had nothing to do with these high elves that would rather watch them burn and die. She was the only one that felt. She felt for the lives that she took. You know? What a great. And that's how our book ends. Book one. Katniss Everdeen. Kinda. Like her character. Yeah.
Yeah, Freya was a fucking badass.
Yeah. And she still will be because we will be reviewing the second book. And yes, we're going to join our characters and see what happens next in the next book.
Oh, I can't wait to talk about the next book.
Oh, prepare
Ugh,
yourselves. That is my
I'm
favorite
so
book.
excited. I'm so excited.
That is officially my favorite book. I will be honest, I'm on book 5, and it's still my favorite book. A few.
I'm only on the third book, guys, so it might be a little while before we get the review for the third one.
Yeah,
But we will get there.
we will. We promise. We're reading these books like we're eating them. So, we're eating them for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. At least I am. Um, any final quotes that you want to throw out there?
Yeah, let's kind of look and see. There's a lot of quotes that were really cute in the book.
That's what I really like about this author. She knows how to write a quote. She knows how to write like their interactions, like communication and their banter between characters are just so realistic that it just makes you like feel like you're there. You already know my favorite quote. And I love the one that
Yeah.
you said earlier. I love you, Thorns and all by Tamlin.
Yeah, I really liked that one too.
Oh, here's a good one. I threw myself into that fire, threw myself into it, into him, and let myself burn. By Feyre.
Yes. Wasn't that during like their when was this one?
That was when I think
Chapter
they had
46?
sex, I think. I think
No, because
that's when
that's
they had
chapter
sex.
46.
That, I'll tell you right now, that is chapter 46.
46.
Yep,
Yeah.
that's when they had sex. No, that's not when they had sex. That's the last
No.
chapter. Oh, this is a good one. Um, when Tamlin's explaining to her why he likes her. Um, be-
Oh.
because your human joy fascinates me. The way you experience things in your lifespan so wildly and deeply and all at once is entrancing.
I liked this one for Nessa.
Oh man.
When she was like, there's a better world, Nesta. There's a better world out there waiting for you to find it. Since her sister was such a prude,
I
like
kind of
telling her to get over her shit.
I kind of like that quote right now because where I'm at in book 5, I need that.
I need that in my life.
I need that. I need that quote in my life from book 5 right now cuz book 5 is rough right now. Um any others you like? Oh, there's so many good ones. I don't want to name all of them.
Yeah, there is a lot of good ones. I had become the music and the fire and the night, and there was nothing that could slow me down.
Mm, good one.
I like this one because when the legends are written, I didn't want to be remembered for standing on the sidelines.
Oh yeah.
You said that one already, but
No, I didn't say
I
that one.
like. You didn't say that one?
No, no.
Oh, maybe I read it and I was like, oh, that's such a good one.
Oh, I got one for you. Rysand.
Okay,
This is by Rysand. When
okay,
he's explaining to her and they're in the cell, he goes,
okay.
"Everything I love has always had a tendency to be taken from me."
Ooh,
Yeah.
ooh,
Yeah, that's when he was explaining to her that he really wanted her
yeah.
to win.
Oh, I can't wait to talk about
I
this.
know.
Oh.
Stop. 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 Stop.
You're the one that read the quote.
I know. I
It's
know.
your fault.
It is my fault.
It is your fault.
But the next book is just so good. It's just so good.
Yeah. You're
Oh, here's a good one. Feyre.
I have one too after.
Magic. Everything was magic, and it broke my heart.
Oh.
Oh, right?
I feel like this one was probably for either Lucian or for Ryzen.
Mm-hmm.
Do you lie awake at night to come up with all your witty replies for the following day?
I love that's Lucian. That was
It's for
Lucian.
Lucian, okay.
That was definitely Lucian saying that to her. That shit is just too funny. I got one for you.
Okay.
Tamlin. This was before the start when they were at the Starlight Lake. If I offer you the moon on a string, will you give me a kiss too?
Oh, Jesus.
Right? Oh, okay, I'm
They're
done.
so cute.
I know. I'm done with quotes. Those are all the
You're
quotes
done
I
with
like.
those?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Unless you find one.
No, I can't. They're all the same ones.
Mm.
Like, the only other one is like the same one that you hear. Hello, for a darling.
Oh,
But
I
every
love
time,
that one. Let's just
every
say that.
time I would read that,
Mm-hmm.
I would always think of Damon
Yeah?
from Vampire Diaries. Yeah, because hello, brother.
Oh, yeah. I love that. Yeah, Ryson always says that to her every
Yeah.
time. You like the moonline, Max? Yeah, it's just so good. I'm telling you. And I just love how Ryson, every time he sees Feyre under the mountain, he always said, "Hello, Feyre, darling." I'm like, this
Yeah.
guy is such a smooth talker. You already know he's smooth.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, if you had to rate the book, number like a star rating, what would you
I
give?
would I would give it 5. I really enjoyed this book. It had everything that I like in it, like that I like in a story.
Mm-hmm.
Like it had torture. It had, well, I don't mean
Torture?
like torture in
Down!
the sense you're
Damn,
like
Del. That's the first one you say? It has torture. Del.
let me explain. Like
Del.
torture loves. Like
Okay.
let me explain. Let me explain.
Okay,
Uh,
jeez.
Not
Don't
like
don't lead
torture,
with that.
torture.
Don't lead with
Uh,
that.
what?
I said don't lead with torture.
Oh, sorry. Tortured love. I love that stuff. Like
Yeah.
kind of like forbidden love.
That's what I was about to say. I love
Yeah.
forbidden love. There's just something
Yeah.
about it.
And then I like when stuff is like what would you call it?
Like a thriller?
Yeah, like kind of like suspense and stuff. Like you don't really know where the story could take you. Because like I said, the part with Lucian and the whole like being crushed part,
Mhm.
because of like what was going on with his character, like under the mountain with him being like punished for helping her and stuff like that,
Mhm.
and for the way that the trial had to be completed,
Mhm.
I didn't think that he was going to live.
Yeah, I got that off there too.
Yeah, so like I liked that. Like I liked that I wasn't able to really
Kids with a brain. Jesus Christ, Badger.
Oh my god, Badger.
Well, Del,
You took it too far, fella.
you did say torture, Del.
I did say torture. But I meant like torture love and stuff like that. Like, Tamlin wants to love her,
Mhm.
but like he's in that situation where like I understand he can't completely express it because, it's not gonna do them any good.
Mhm.
Because I'm sure if he would have tried to save her, he would have wound it up dead, or she would have.
Mhm.
But it bothered me that he didn't risk that.
Yeah.
So,
Unfortunately, that's something. Well, not unfortunately. We will be discussing that in the later books because, you know, that
yeah,
part does get mentioned in the books, and we get to see a little bit reasons why.
good. I
So,
need answers.
yeah, so that's good. We will get there, but as far as the book goes, I will be honest. I rated it at 4.2. 4.
Yeah.
4.2, 4.5 was my rating for this book.
Was it?
Yes, I love it. That's not a bad rating. It's not. Trust me.
Oh, no, that
It's
is not. That's a great rating.
it's not. It's a really really good rating, and I'll tell you why. The only reason I rated it that way was because I've read the other books. So,
Oh, okay.
yeah, that's the only. At first, when I first did this book review, I put a 5. But
Yeah.
I didn't know how good writing can get when you read
See,
the
the
next
thing
books.
is I never, like, when I rate, I only rate specifically on that book.
Yeah. It
Because
was a
for
great
me,
book.
yeah, like, because for me, it's like, I have a problem with rating books.
Oh, I don't.
Because my thing is, like, I don't ever want to give someone, like, the wrong impression. Because it's like, I read those ratings that people do,
Mhm.
and they can say how much they hate the book, right? And
Mhm.
then, like, I read it and I love it. And then I'm like, you know what? Maybe that just wasn't their.
Their cup of tea. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's why I don't like rating too much.
I don't mind rating. I still think that a 3.5 and up is still a good book.
Yeah. Well, I've seen people give, like, books ones. Like,
Mhm.
I know that there's been some really low ratings for this book.
Yeah, because some people just it's not what they're looking for, which is fine.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, definitely.
I'll be polite, but fuck them. I don't care about that. We're talking about how good this book is right now,
Yeah,
and
I'm just saying, right? Like,
yeah, I'm gonna be honest, I gave it a 4.5 because of the other books and because it kind of had a slow start. I get it. You know, it's the first book. It's gonna have a slow start, but it was really good. It was really, really good. And the other reason why I kind of didn't want to give it the 5 was kind of that Tamlin issue.
That's understandable.
I didn't like that. It's not the way I thought he would react.
Yeah.
I was waiting though. I was waiting. I was literally like on my toes, waiting for him to do something, to save her, to help her, and he did nothing.
Well, that's how I felt because I really didn't think that the story was going to end with her dead.
I mean, either. I thought he would die. I thought he was gonna
I
sacrifice himself.
I thought that we were going to have like longer time with her.
Mhm.
Like I thought at one point he was going to find a way to get out. He was going to save her, get
Mhm.
out, and then, potentially with the other books there would be like a bigger war.
Yeah.
Because like I just felt like she was such a like strong character for
Mhm.
her to kind of just die the way she did,
Yeah.
right? Like I mean that's just how like I felt about it. Like I thought that she was going to be like the main evil like
Amarantha.
in the yeah, in the
But it
series.
kind of works out because
Yeah.
I like
Oh
that she
yeah, of
turned
course.
I like that she turned high fae. I didn't like that she died, but I like that she turned high fae because obviously now she can be with him because they can live hundreds of years. How is she gonna be with him? You know, she's gonna be an old lady in a wheelchair and he's gonna be freaking gorgeous. Come on,
Yeah.
like no.
Well, there's other things I thought of how she could, possibly be turned and stuff. Maybe not the way that she was obviously turned, right?
Yeah.
So, but like I said, I didn't really do crazy amount of research when I read these books to spoil anything. I went in not
Oh yeah, me too. Except for
knowing
the fan
anything.
art. I love fan art, but I don't care.
Yeah.
I'm the kind of person that'll keep reading if you spoil
Well,
it.
I spoiled it since I started reading the first book, but I didn't spoil the first book.
Yeah. So yeah, that's our book review.
Yeah, and thank you guys for hanging out for so long.
Yeah, I know we talk a lot, but we just feel I mean, I think we both feel a lot of like love towards the book and
Yeah,
you know, it just shows in what we say and how much we talk about it because it's such a good book and we want other people to experience these books and it's just wonderful. Like books are wonderful. I'm going to be a nerd.
basically, you guys don't even have to read the book.
Yeah, we'll read them for you.
we basically read it for you.
We'll read them for you. We'll literally tell you the whole book. And I mean, we didn't really talk too much about the sex scene, but that shit was fucking fire.
That's okay. That's what the second book's for.
That's what the second book's for. Yes! Yes! Better sex scenes, trust.
Better.
Way better sex scenes. But yeah, thank you guys. You guys are amazing. Thank you for coming to
Yeah.
see us. We appreciate you guys. Follow us on all of our things.
Yeah. Follow our
Please.
social medias.
We
Appreciate
we
that.
have an Instagram now. We've got a Twitter. We've got a TikTok. Dell's amazing with her TikToks. We'll be posting a lot of Dell's play of the games for Overwatch because she's such a badass, bro. I love those.
Dude,
I
this
love
is
that diva
definitely not
one.
going to be a PG-13 stream.
Nah, fuck
Wait
that.
until we're finished with A Court of Thorns and Roses.
Well,
And
not
we
really.
start reading
The really smutty ones.
our smut books.
Yeah.
Oh,
But the next book has some really good sex scene.
yeah, it does. It does. I'm very
It really
excited.
does. And supposedly, book 5, which is what I'm on, has some of the best sex scenes.
Linny, it's going to be spicy.
I'll read it out of the book if you guys want.
50 Shades of Shrek next, please.
Oh, 50 Shades
Oh
of
my
Shrek.
god.
Uh,
This badger feller.
I won't? Girl, you
Oh,
know I will. I have no qualms with telling you how fucking good this scene is. I don't
man, if
get
you guys want graphic, we can give you graphic.
yeah, I don't get queasy talking to you about a sex scene. Trust me. I don't because
This
I
is
fucking
just
read
our
it.
first stream. I didn't really know how to go about this for the book review.
What do you mean?
Like what to talk, what to share, how much detail to go into.
Yeah, I think we did pretty good with it.
So I think it went well.
Yeah, I think we did pretty good with it. But if you guys see on our Twitch, or you could always message us, tell us what you recommend and what you think we should do. We're always open to criticism. And
What do you mean this is Twitch?
huh?
There's girls in bikinis
Oh yeah, didn't
lathering up their boobies with
I was about to say,
with
Max? We
stuff.
had this conversation. That girl with the oiled tits. Come on, bro. Like, this is nothing compared. Nothing.
Yeah. There's people on here playing Smash or Pass.
But it's a hot tub. Oh my god. We love oily titties. Yes, yes we
Well,
do.
we love talking about book characters having sex.
And living vicariously through them. Why not?
Yeah, and staring at pictures that we'll post on next book review.
You love the fairy tale background of his story? Yeah, I know. We I mean, yeah, we both like high fantasy, romance, a little bit of mystery, adventure, and sexy ass sex scenes, bro. That's what read GOT. I mean, I'm not going to say that we're going to read it just yet, but that's what Fourth Wing is for. We have a list of books. We just need to decide what to read next. Yeah. But yeah, anyways, we're going to end this stream. Thank you guys for coming out. Please
Thank
follow
you,
us.
everybody. Appreciate everybody.
Yeah, you guys are amazing. Thank you for staying in. Thank you for being part of the chats. You guys are amazing. I love you guys so
Yeah,
much.
thank you
So
so
much love for
much.
you guys. Yes, follow us on Twitter, Twitch, TikTok, all the
Devo.
things. You want to live in Prithian? You know what? I kind of do too. Can you imagine? Those women are fucking gorgeous.
I would just find Rise.
Don't blame you. I don't blame you. Bye, guys.
Panda
Yeah.
dibs.
Yeah. Fuck. That's
Good night,
okay.
everybody. Good night.
Good night, everybody. Bye bye.